Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League by Foxxtecca for week number 2. And if you haven't had enough of Daytona this weekend with the iRacing 24 hours, we're bringing you more action with the Pro at the Am and the Pro categories out there tonight. Two stacked grids taking on the Daytona International Speedway, the road course, as it will be used for tonight's layout. A fantastic track with a great chance of a lot of slipstreaming. The top powered cars will be the ones to watch in this race tonight. The Ford Mustangs, the Mercedes-Benz could be the cars to keep your eyes on. But what will happen? I'm Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action live with Tristan Herbst and our man in the comms box, our specialist for the League by Foxxtecca, Shay, joins us once again. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we? Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think tonight's going to be a great race. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about Daytona being featured for pretty much the entirety of the past couple of weeks. I think Jim is so sick and tired of it. He's not even looking at his screen anymore tonight. He's just clicking through the different cameras and hoping for the best. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a great race here tonight. And I believe there's a couple of guys in tonight's racing here at Foxxtecca that actually participated in the 24-hour themselves. So they've got quite a lot of practice lined up for them in terms of track knowledge and, maybe a little bit of trauma as to, if something might have gone wrong in that 24 hours. But it's a bit of a better turnout here today because we're back to Format A for today's racing. And around Daytona, I don't think we can ask for much more.
No, it's going to be an interesting race, isn't it? It's going to be a fantastic one to see what we can look at today with that format A, the one race, obviously the 1 hour long. The championship points, though, going into the AM race for this evening, obviously pretty self-standard, based off of last week's results, basically. Alex Rosell leads the way, 100 points, 90 points for Donarine. Parks Miller in third place, Troy Anderson is fourth on 80 points, Jesse Laverin, then it's Evan Davis, Jimmy Carroll, Keaton Young, Aaron Sunday, Pio Valencia, Sal Garza, Samuel Burnett, and then Julian Rice. And then you can see the bottom drivers filling in the points. There's a lot of drivers scoring a lot of points. Obviously, with this format A, as we explained last week, it increases the amount of drivers that are going to score the points, which just gives everybody, I suppose, Shay, this season, a chance to fight for something.
Indeed, this does give everybody a chance to fight for a little bit more than they'd expect, especially coming off of some of the back positions. It tells that there's more going on during the race than just what's happening in the front. There's always action in the back, and those back positions matter.
Yeah, they do indeed. We're into the practice qualifying session at the moment. Nearly coming to the end of that one. 3 minutes left, and it is Parks Miller who is leading the way in his Mercedes-Benz, and it is Mercedes at the top, but a Porsche sitting in fourth for Valencia, doing pretty well, Tristan, considering that the Porsche isn't really known for its power and its top speed.
Yeah, it'll have the slight advantage there going into the in and out section through the horseshoes and stuff. It will have the slightly better rotation compared to the Mercedes, but like we mentioned, the big top speed runners at this race, such as the Mustangs and the Mercedes. If we had the Lexus RCF racing here, also the big 5.6 liter V8, it would be featuring at the top as well. And I mean, it's obviously reflecting because, I mean, top 6, we're looking at almost an entire dominantly Mercedes grid now with the Fords managed to navigate himself in there, Andre Sava. But Troy Anderson currently in a little bit of no man's land there in his mid-engine Corvette. So he's in between all the big gun front engines. So we'll have to see how that turns out for him coming into the race. But I mean, Shay, we were talking about this just before. We don't really know how today's racing is going to go. It really did prove interesting last week this time around. So, I mean, what's our thought process going into, end of qualifying?
Well, first things first, I do know that a lot of these drivers competed in the recent Daytona 24-hour race. And for those that don't know, 24 hours in this race in a sim is 24 real hours. So these guys have seen every corner of this track. They might be traumatized from this track, from some of the crashes and things that took them out, maybe things to even watch out for. I personally am really interested in how these drivers are going to adapt to being on this track once again after such a grueling event.
Yeah, and the thing we've got to look at as well, going from last week, where we had Spa, a pretty all-round circuit for all the cars. They had different sections of the circuit that really made the cars sort of show who was on top at that stage of the track. Daytona, as we keep saying, is really a different kettle of fish. And this is what the calendar's provided this year, Tristan, is it's provided us with a lot of mixed circuits. At times we're going to see the mid-engine cars, the Porsches, be able to be a bit more dominant, and at times we're going to get tracks like this where we're going to see the front-engine cars and the real powerhouses take to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really also going to play interesting to see how this compares between our Pro-Am and our Am classes, because from last week's racing at Spa, it was a completely different ballgame in the two classes. Obviously, the racing was still brilliant in both, but obviously it was slightly closer in our Pro class. So Am class, they've got a lot to prove yet today at Daytona. And like we mentioned, we've got a couple of drivers coming from that 24-hour event. So there shouldn't be any excuse of, I don't know what the track is, I don't know which corner it is. At this point, especially if you're in iRacing, you own the Daytona track and, one of the GT3 cars to drive around, you should have some form of extensive knowledge of how to take this car in the GT3 class in specific. There's no hypercars or LMPs here like we would normally see in the Daytona 24, so they don't have to worry about traffic management. But with that being said, we officially conclude our AM qualifying, and Caden Parks-Miller tops us off for the 144.5.
He does indeed. A great job from Caden Parks-Miller in that Mercedes-Benz. It is a Mercedes 1-4. We'll bring you the grid order now. Caden Parks-Miller on pole position from Alex Rosell, your championship leader. Jimmy Carroll, P3 from Jesse Laverin in 4th place. The Corvette of Troy Anderson is in P number 5. Then it'll be Maya Denarine in P6. Young Dilworth, P7. Andre Saber, the first of the Ford Mustangs, in P8. Valencia is down in 9th place in his Porsche. Zachary is in P10. And that rounds out your top 10. Richard Swiderski is P11 from Vigard Henriksen in P12.
Yeah, the young Kingston Mulling rocks up there in 13th position with Alex Calvash in 14th. Clayton Sanchez takes 15th for the Savage Sim Racing team. Paul Collishaw, 16th position, and rounds off our 8th row of racing. Nate Pollard takes 17th position here today, and Evan Davis will take 18th. Joe Coleman, 19th position. Rain Woodside, another one of the young guns, down in 20th position for Team Foxxtecca. And Sedarius Days in 21st position, followed by Justin Klabine, 22nd. Lewis Holloway from Cameron Caster takes 23rd, and Saul Garza takes 24th.
And I'll take the mic for the next set, being Uven Sandirigama, sorry for butchering that, taking up the 25th position. Julian Race in 26th. Aaron Sunday, 27th. In 28th, Shelton Lewis. In 29th, Samuel Burnett. Thomas Natalie in 30th. In 31st, Edward Ramirez. Ethan Halfhide taking 32nd position. 33rd being Zachary Wood. Chandler Fiveash in 34th. Benjamin Betchel in 35th. And Ken Majari, in 36th.
It's not that easy to pronounce them, is it? Eduardo Martinez Tostado is P37. Landon Baston in 38th. Jacob Berry alongside John Smallwood. Kristen Montgomery is P41st alongside Lewis Martinez. Alan Ware is going alongside Jeffrey Hong. Then it'll be Gavin Mangold from Keaton Young. Alexis Barrington from Kamari Odom. 48 cars on this grid. Absolutely stacked grid here at Daytona. We had the 50 cars, I believe, last week. 48 this week. What are we expecting heading into turn 1 then, Tristan? Because you really kind of tightens up as you go through the first con. What do we think is going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hectic one. Turn 1 here definitely reminds me of the inaugural downhill left at Bahrain. If you've ever driven it in F1 or any other platform, it's quite an intense corner in terms of managing those brakes. Obviously, in GT3 class, we'll have that ABS to help us a bit, but it's still going to play a bit, especially with the cold brakes. So the drivers seriously do need to keep themselves in consideration. Yeah, there shouldn't be any heroics down into turn number 1. And so let's hope we can see a relatively clean turn 1. From what we saw at Spa, I think they were able to keep it quite clean in turn number 1. Yeah. We only saw a little bit of chaos, maybe a bit further up the Kemmel Straight and around the Sector 2 area. But coming through turn number 1, they kept it nice and clean. So let's hope the Mercs up in front can keep the same foot.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start to this race then. They come round the final banking before they head to that little tri-oval banking of the start line, where we will take to the green flag. The safety car pulls into the pit lane, and we already dropped the hammer here, and we're already starting to get going. The lights go green now, and there's already a few drivers who just fell short of the green lights. They've had a bit of a poor start. You saw a couple of the cars dropping back, but our race leader, our pole sitter, should I say, gets a good start, gets away in towards turn 1, nice and cleanly through. He's got a good lead already as the sun sets here at Daytona. It looks clean in the background as well, so it looks a great start from absolutely everybody heading in towards turn 1. You see a big gap in the midfield there. Must have been a few stragglers on that green light, and now an incident in the background. Porsche across the grass and a Mercedes off as well, and that is a return to the pit lane for one of the drivers. I believe that is Kristen Montgomery in the Porsche and Uvin in the Mercedes Benz. We haven't got Odom and Young, who's taken to the start, but a pretty good getaway from everybody now then as they come on towards the oval for the first time of this race. It's been a great start so far, but this is now where we're really going to see that slipstream take its shape, I suppose. Can the second place man of, as I pull his name up, Jimmy Carroll, get that slipstream on Parks Miller? You can see the timing tower, how much he's closing in that slipstream before they head to the Le Mans chicane.
Yeah,
now,
pretty eventful. Go for it.
An interesting thought that I had here as the race begins is I realized with so many cars and so many associated teams being in this race, I'd love to see if teams chose to work together to gain places as opposed to just going all out and trying.
Yeah, that might be keep our eyes on.
Yeah, last year we definitely saw a lot of team playing, and it came an advantage for those team drivers. And so I think it's definitely going to happen here again this year, especially at a track like Daytona, where it's very much a team play kind of track. But very unfortunate there for Sandero Gama. We saw him going off right-hand side of the track. And as we mentioned, first turn really clean. And then just on the exit of turn 1, coming into turn number 2, a little bit of chaos struck there between the Porsche and the Mercedes. But thankfully, not too much affecting the rest of the grid. Great overtake from Pierre Alejandro Valencia. Up into 6 he goes in his Porsche and continues to push on strong around young Dilworth. And it looks like Laverin's going to join him around the outside, just behind in the Mercedes. He's holding the outside for that Caster and Camber team, and doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it stick. Lazan sits up in 7th position and blocks it off with his big Mercedes GT. But for the rest of the cars, it's still looking pretty good out on track. Gaza gets past Burnett for 23rd position. Here's Alex Rosell up in 4th now, chasing down on Dion Noreen. Through the final West Horseshoe they go, and back onto the back straight towards the Le Mans chicane. We'll have to see how it's going to turn out for the drivers.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. The Alex Rosell then recovered, don't forget, from that spin he had last week. He had a bit of a dreadful opener to his race, but came back to win from Denarine at Spa. So he's chasing him down once again. Carroll is within a 10th of a second on Parks Miller, using that slipstream, bump drafting him down towards the Le Mans chicane they go. Is he thinking of pulling out? He's possibly not. You know, this is a strategy that we're going to see from these drivers. Just keep it tucked in before the Le Mans chicane. Try and get the run out of it, because you're going to need that slipstream all the way down in towards turn number 1. And we're going to see places chop and change today, because this slipstream is very, very strong around Daytona. There's a lot where you're flat out to have that big, strong slipstream. So you're going to see that strategy of drivers just swapping places, just being patient, because it's an hour-long race. They're not going to want to try and take the lead and take off from it, as Valencia's moved ahead of Anderson for P5 and 6. We are just seeing Carroll here at the moment, just sat in behind Parks Miller. And I think this is that strategy playing out here, Shay, already, not wanting to take that lead just yet before Parks Miller will then have the slipstream onto the oval once again.
Slipstreaming is obviously going to be a big part of today's race. It seems that positioning is best and optimal if people are really taking their time and thinking about where they want to go for passes.
Oh, they're talking about thinking about where they want to go for passes. Collishaw plants himself on the inside there, coming into the International Horseshoe, and it looks like he's made it work. It's my livery, it's my guy, making it on the outside in the Prince Stream, and just gets ahead now of Hendrickson for 14th position, and he's going to continue trying to push up in that top 15 spot. Let's see if he can hold it, though. Hendrickson not making it the easiest overtake, and he's back up on the inside. There's a Corvette off there, just slightly towards the back. He's lost a couple of positions, and that looks like it's Sanchez as he possibly drops down. Rosell's had a moment. Rosell's dropping off the timing tower. Down to 12th he goes. Is it a repeat of Spa last week? Here's Rosell behind Dion Noreen. Was he possibly tapped, or was it self-inflicted? Coming through one of the left-handers now onto the back straight. It looks like an self-inflicted Alex Rosell, and yeah, that's not going to do well to the downforce package.
Indeed, it's not. So last week he was spun around at the Lacombe chicane, not a lot of damage to his car, and he managed to carry on really well. Vadi's going to hurt him though. in this race today. Self-inflicted, just possibly on the power a little bit too early, and you can see him just staying below the oval section of the circuit while the cars come round the banking. So Rosell now down in 21st. The bonus is the drivers will have to make a pit stop. Let's not forget they are capped. They pit around the 30 to 35 minute mark, and Jimmy Carroll is just happy to sit and follow Parks Miller through. They are in the same team, the drive trainer motorsport. So they are in the same team. Teams aren't a factor in this championship. So whether you want to help your buddy out in the same team or not, that is completely up to the drivers. But the interesting thing to note is these two just using the slipstream with each other just to maybe pull away. Dennery now has a clear gap behind him back to Anderson in the Corvette. He's just got to get them laps in and get on the back of Parks Miller and Carroll here then. There is Dennery, your second place man from time out. He's just over a second and a half behind Carroll and Parks Miller at the moment. He's got a bit of work to do to gain on these two as they come through the oval section.
With that said, I'd like to bring some attention over to young Dilworth. He's actually having a really great race right now, considering, let's compare his run to last week, where he had it a little bit rougher towards the back and it was kind of fighting for places near the double digits, but now he's sitting pretty nice up in 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great position up there for young Dilworth, but I just wanted to also bring something to attention that we were talking about with the team play, about Parks, Miller, and Carroll. Their last lap times were respectively identical, 144.674 on the dot. And like you mentioned, Matthew, this is, I feel like, the ultimate team play where Carroll isn't wanting to make that aggressive lunge that could possibly ruin both of their races. He is just extending that gap to Dennery. It is just ever so getting slightly longer. It was 1.5. It's already up to 1.7 now onto lap number 4. So if they continue their current stride, the two of them in first and second could definitely pull away from the rest of the pack. So great strategy going on there. He has Natali over. Oh my goodness. And that was a very, very risky move for the young Batson right over the curb coming out of the Le Mans chicane. And if you did watch highlights from the 24-hour, very dangerous corner exit there, especially if you ramp up on that inside sausage curb. You could catch a little bit of flight and over the walls you go, but thankfully he did manage to catch it. He's lost about 4 positions, but at least he can continue racing.
Indeed he can. This is Shelton Lewis, and back down towards Sol Garza then, who is running in 22nd place. Henriksen has just moved up to 12th ahead of Collishaw, and young Dilworth has just got himself past Anderson, so a lot of changes of places at the moment. But you're absolutely spot on. The fastest laps of the race, by the way, look at them two on the timing tower, identical, of 44.674 by both Parks Miller and Jimmy Carroll. In the last lap, there was 2,000 of a second separated by them. That is Henriksen and Collishaw, who have just had a bit of a scrap on the circuit. Henriksen got past him. They've both tumbled down the timing tower pretty quickly. We'll try and grab a replay of what has happened to these two then. That is your man Collishaw in the Porsche livery. This is coming out the International Horseshoe down towards the dogleg left-hander, and 2 into 1 through the quick left-hander, just on the grass a little bit, just kind of understeers on the edge of the corner. And that is going to be a big shunt into the wall. Not too bad actually for Collishaw there. Manages to just scrape the barrier, but yeah, just kind of understeered on the exit of the dogleg there.
Yeah, he is young Landon. This is a little bit of an incident he had earlier on, and just on the inside of one of the McLarens. Good save again, never mind. I spoke far too early and unfortunately loses the rear of his Porsche. Faces backwards on track. It's a very difficult moment here because it doesn't mean he can just swing the car around. He's got to wait for all the traffic to come past before he can make any form of move. And he does get a little bit of contact there, unfortunately, with one of your drivers there, Shay, as he rejoins the track. That's not going to be too great for team play.
I was wincing just a little bit there. I saw it coming.
So back to the live action we are at the moment, and look at the gap. Carroll and Parks Miller have pulled over Dennerine 2.5 seconds, and this is now where Dennerine is just kind of sitting in no man's land. The cars behind him aren't catching him, but he's also not being able to catch the leaders because they're slipstreaming each other to great effect. With that of Rosell, who dropped down the order earlier on with his spin, Dennerine is just helpless out there at the moment, as this is Evan Davis looking around the outside in his purple Ford Mustang on Swiderski. Can't get it done through the Western Horseshoe. And Kingston Mullings now in that bright neon yellowy green Ford Mustang in front, trying to attack the back of Saber. It's a bit of a train of Ford Mustangs here. The Mercedes have gone out front, and we've got a bit of a train of Ford Mustangs trying out the top 10. But so far, pretty much a decent race. We've just seen again individual errors of spinners just taking their own, just making their own mistakes at the moment.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it's unfortunately not going to be the last. I don't know if Daytona is made of a different kind of tar, but it does seem like it's slightly more difficult to keep the car under control from what we saw in that entire 24-hour weekend. So it's very unfortunate. But I think a big thing we also got to mention as we continue to progress through tonight's racing is a massive thank you to the sponsors of the league by Foxxtecca, who have made everything happen. Obviously, the African American Automotive Association is here yet again for season number 2 to bring all the action-packed power that they brought last year. The Roasted Records is also here again. Unfortunately, Mike Man isn't joining us for this race. He was here last week at Spa, but he won't be joining us this week around. And then obviously also the amazing design company who has done all most of the liveries out here. A couple of them have been homemade by some of the teams, but also lots of designs made by the design company sponsored by the league. Apologies, their name has just slipped my mind, but you will see them in the top right-hand side of your screen once they rotate around again. And other couple of sponsors are also here just to continue to provide that sportsmanship and sponsorship to the league by Foxxtecca. And it's always great. We always talk about it, just to have all the sponsorships and agreements in place, and that's how we keep these kind of races alive, because Foxxtecca might undoubtedly be one of the best GT3 racing you can have currently on iRacing in terms of leagues.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's been fantastic, and the backing has just got even better for season number 2. And long may it continue into the future as well. We just saw there Shelton Lewis and Henriksen going side by side on the oval, nearly just banging doors a little bit. Swiderski, there he is, on the outside line. I saw him dropping down the order a little bit, and he's just rejoined now. Sorry, it's Kulbein, sorry. I think Swiderski's still dropping down the order. He's down into 25th place. He was sat on the outside, still is sat there. And the problem is, with a 48-car grid, you've got to try and pick a gap to feed into to make sure you don't make contact with another car. So he's had to wait for a horribly long time there to get back going in this race. And he's just got himself a slowdown to go with it for going off the track and coming back onto it. This is being dealt with at the moment on the back of, down in towards turn number 1, on the back of the Porsche. The Mercedes just trying to make it to get the advantage into turn 1.
Yeah, and as you see them coming to turn 1, there's a little bit of a Porsche coming out of the pit lane, I presume, on the left-hand side. But one thing we've also got to note about turn number 1 is that there's a lot of different lines that you can take to coming into that turn, especially if you're trying to manage traffic or other cars. There's something obviously called the standard line, and then you've got the esports line as well. That grey concrete on the outside can also be used as a bit of a runoff. Unfortunately, not too much to the point where you get a track limit. They did ban it this year. I believe it used to get abused quite a bit in previous years, but it has been slightly more moderated this time around. But still, it does provide a slightly better line around that outside, and we did see it, especially if you've watched on Apex Racing TV, some of the Kelly Moss racing. We had it here as well at Daytona, and there's also a lot of great fun around here in the Porsches. But at least we get to see all the mixed GT3s here for tonight's racing. There's still a couple of Porsches here, but like we have mentioned, a dominating front engine car grid in terms of leading this race. The Mercs still ever doubtably up in front. No pressure whatsoever here for the number 67 and the number 148. The two drivers from Driver Trainer Motorsports. Here's Pio Alejandro Valencia, the first Porsche of our entire grid, up in 5th. And he's holding strong, I must say, for the rear engine cars over there. Unfortunately, the rest of the Porsches are quite far down. The next one only down in 12th position with Calvache. And we've also got the Corvette of Troy Anderson down in 7th. Here he is, the yellow Stinger-style Corvette. Great livery as well, as he comes around for the Velocity Server Racing team on that back straight. I don't really know if you can call it a straight at Daytona, but the back oval. And now lap 9, 15 minutes down into this race, and Parks Miller still comfortable in his lead.
He is comfortable in his lead, and the two leaders have done the identical fastest laps yet again. So they are still a 44.505 now, both of them doing identical lap times, as Denarine puts in his fastest lap of the race with a 44.8, but it's just not got that slipstream to close in on the two leaders. When will we start to see them battle in this one? Because they're both going to want to take the race win, that is for sure. Like we said, the team game not an option in this race this season, so it is all independent drivers. Just because they're from the same team doesn't mean, doesn't mean they're going to massively help each other out. They'll get it to a certain point, and you can imagine the leaders will start fighting for that lead of this race. They've got a 3.8 second lead. This is looking back from Saber, though. P9 at the moment, the Ford Mustang of Davis looking up the inside through the Western Horseshoe. Saber just went a little bit wide, and Davis will say thank you very much as the door opens up for him to move up into P9 now. So can Saber do anything about Davis on the oval section of the circuit? But we're seeing here a great little couple of fights developing in this race, but still in its strategic phase of the race, because in the mid-pack, yes, they're chopping and changing places. Elsewhere, they're just kind of... Valencia's been sat behind Livery for quite a while, and obviously Carroll and Miller have been sat behind each other, so they're just kind of playing a little game at the moment, just waiting for this race to develop.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to be the strategy for today's racing. I mean, like we mentioned, it's a 1 hour long race. You know, what the heck is the point of risking things such an early point in the race and possibly jeopardizing that finish? Because remember, we've got that pit stop that needs to happen. The drivers are capped at a 65% fuel tank. For drivers like Rosell, who unfortunately had a spin earlier on, and he probably needed to pit for that damage, he's going to have to pit again. That 65% tank is not going to be able to keep him going until the end of this race. So he's going to have to pit yet again, which has unfortunately kind of ruined his race strategy, if you have to ask me. He did manage to pull it off at Spa, so we'll have to see if he can do it again. Evan Davis with Kingston Mullings now, as they are chasing each other down. And Evan Davis is hungry today, guys. I've got to say, he's made up a position already, and he's just gotten past Mullings as well. So he's trying to get past, trying to get back now with his neon green and yellow Mustang. But another big thing to mention, especially for those in our YouTube chat, is that there is a livery battle going on for this season yet again. So you may be able to persuade that decision that Foxxtecca makes at the end of the season by commenting your best livery in chat. Make sure you include the number when you mention that livery, because there is a ton of beautiful liveries out there. I've got to say, it's been a bit difficult for us to choose. I don't know if the other guys in the box have had any confirmations yet. I certainly haven't. I know the Clutch Motorsport team is up there definitely with their colors. So Shay will be happy with that one, but there's still a lot of other contenders around here.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, really, really happy about people.
Sorry, Shay. Days there, sorry, has just had a bit of a spin on his own. He got clipped by a McLaren going past and an unsafe rejoin right into the path of Sunday. That'll be a bit more damage to Days' car there, and Sunday won't be happy with that unsafe rejoin there. But yeah, a moment on his own. Sorry, Shay.
It's all good. It's all good. This is all Mustang-powered mayhem, all at Daytona. American power at its best and at its worst.
Yeah, definitely so. Very unfortunate there for Sidarius Days. Let's see. Was this again? Guys, I think there's a bit of an issue on the exit of West Horseshoe over there. That's the third car we've seen lose the backside. And that is just so unfortunate. The Merc, I'm not too sure who that was. Also, great livery he's rocking. But just meeting Sidarius on the rejoin. We've got a couple of names being mentioned here in chat after that livery announcement. I see Young Dilworth has been mentioned up in 6th position. We'll have a look at that livery up in 6th. There's Sunday. He was the driver who had contact. And you can just see the part fly off the car. Is it going to be into the pit lane for Aaron Sunday, or is it going to be staying out on track? It is indeed coming in to get that damage repaired. Carroll has also been mentioned. Parks Miller has also been mentioned for some of the best liveries. So it's great to see that the comment section is definitely playing their part here. Yes, Kevin Majori, 29th position, currently chasing down on the backside of Half-Hide. So we'll have to see if he can get past in the Clutch Motorsports. Clutch's night crew into the inside, down into turn number 1, and it's a great heavy braking moment there for Ken Majori, and a great overtake, I've got to say, on Half-Hide.
Yeah, he just tucked underneath, didn't he, coming through that tri-oval section of the circuit, and just really got the run over Half-Hide. And yeah, Majori there just tucked underneath, beautifully done, and braked quite late into turn 1 to just extend that gap a little bit over the driver from the Trinidad and Tobago of Half-Hide. So yeah, good move there.
That is one of those passes that you can imagine that the driver is just holding on to the seat of their pants for.
Yep. 100%, especially in turn number 1 when you're also late on the brakes and then still trying to get that car rotated. There is a very high chance of you unfortunately losing the back end. We have seen it quite a couple of times, but great move there from Majori, and he managed to keep it stuck 100% on the inside line. Here we see the race leaders officially meeting that lap traffic. You can see a couple of drivers pulling off to the side, just making sure They do not interfere with the two of them, who are, yet again, I mean, look at this gap, guys. 4.5 seconds now from Daytona. They are 100% contestless here in today's racing. The question is, though, is that there can only be one winner in this AM race. So is Carroll going to try and leap it in those final dire moments?
Yeah, I think he will. I think this is all a strategy from Carroll and Foxxtecca to just get themselves a nice cushion over the rest of the field and then just try and fight it out and duke it out at the very end. Kingston Mullings, lovely move at turn 1 to now lead over that of Davis behind. 47 runners in this race that started it. We've still got all 47 runners going at the moment, so that's great to see. But yeah, great little fight here at Daytona. And one thing I don't think we've mentioned today, obviously, this is in the sunset here at Daytona. It's a very cold track temperature. It's only 20 degrees Celsius track temperature at the moment. So track's not as warm as you'd normally see. And this is going to run right in through the night. The time progression of this race is going to be beautiful. We get that lovely sunset, that orangey kind of coloured sky as the sun sets here at Daytona, going fully into a night race for the pro category later on. So the lights will take full effect as they come down towards the Le Mans chicane again. Davis just braking a little later, than Mullings, gaining on him through the Le Mans chicane. They go. And now will he use that slipstream? There's that bumper of the Mercedes-Benz flying off that we saw a little earlier on. Starper has got a slowdown penalty. That's what the yellow flag means next to his name. He's got himself a little bit of a slowdown for a track cut, probably through the Le Mans chicane. Very easy to take the track limits through there.
Shay, you just better watch your inbox, man. That kind of looked like one of your bumpers out on track. You might want to quickly run and go grab it before it causes further incidents. I hope it's not yours. It kind of looks like your coloring. Let's hope it's not.
There's a couple other purples and blues out here. Not as prevalent, but there's a few.
How did the debrief go last week, Shay?
Well, there was, I gotta say, after last week's race, there was a lot of drama between drivers, both in my team and just all around. I think that this time around, everyone's kind of gotten all the jitters and everything out of their heads, and they're really, just ready to bear down and take the track as serious as they can.
Tell you what we're seeing here at Tristan. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I noticed on a couple of drivers coming towards turn 1, just tapping the rear of the other car. Just ever so slightly. A couple of drivers have done that several times, obviously in the slipstream, just getting a little too close, giving them a bit of a tap. That's going to just cause some effects of the cars, of both cars, isn't it? As this race starts to develop, the more they start to do that, it's just going to hurt your car and the other driver's car just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's going to slowly start to go for it, Jeff.
It should be kept in mind that bump drafting it's incredibly important on this track, and it is allowed. However, drivers will be penalized if they cause a crash due to bump drafting. So everyone has to be really, really careful when they go into all these slipstreams. Everyone's going way faster than they usually would if it were just them running the track. So it has to be just a little bit more calculated.
Yeah, and I think especially down into turn number 1, I think it's extremely important not to pull too much onto the outside line unless you are very certain you can get ahead, because that outside line of turn number 1 is a very dangerous spot in terms of losing a lot of track time and position. If you do try and go around the outside of another driver, and they obviously take a bit more of the outside line. For example, here comes the Asus car, the one Mercedes. You can see how long and around the outside he goes. If he continues in that stride, that's number 1, it's an off track. And number 2, he's obviously going to get a couple of incident points for it. Number 3, it's going to slow him down a heck of a lot of time, and he's going to lose a lot of time from it. So coming down into turn number 1, it might actually be better just to tuck the car in. There's one of your Mercedes, it looks like, Shay, and I think it is that bumper on track here. Oh no, we're talking about it, but there's a Mercedes there with a missing bumper.
Kristen, sorry to cut you off a second, but Denarine has dropped to 4th place and is 2/10 off the back of Laverin. So not sure what has happened to Denarine out front. He's now behind Jesse Laverin. And what that 4.5 second that was to Jimmy Carroll is now 11.5 seconds. So Denarine, at some point, has had a moment and has dropped down to 4th place. He was 5 seconds clear of this pack, so he's had a big moment somewhere.
Doesn't look like there's any damage on the car, fortunately for him. I'm seeing the bumpers are both attached, the spoilers attached, no wheels are slightly slanted any direction. So we'll try and find a replay here of what happened to Denarine. I was wondering to see the Aces car on the outside. He has maybe a replay. This is with Jesse Laverin though. Possibly we could see him catching up to the driver. There's one of the so there he's already going slow, and Jesse Laverin coming around the outside line now, so he gets fully ahead there. So something's already happened there with Denarine, possibly coming out of West Horseshoe.
Yeah, that's coming through the Le Mans chicane, wasn't it? I think it was that he was slow. It looked like there was the Clutch Motorsport McLaren as well. So, yeah, we'll see what's happened there. This is down there with Denerine, looking to the outside line of Laverin. Going to patiently wait for that one. Is he going to try and look for the up and under through turn number 1? No, he does not. So this now gives the two leaders 12 seconds, 12 and a half seconds lead nearly over the field as Denerine chopping left and right to have a look all over the back of Laverin and nowhere to go. And this is keeping Valencia with these two Mercedes-Benz at the moment. The more these two start to fight as they put a lap on a Porsche there. But yeah, great job by Valencia in this race to stick with this pack at the moment. He's right in that slipstream of these two Mercedes-Benz, and he'll kind of be getting that double toe, won't he, down the oval section of the circuit to really keep with them, because you feel that's what's keeping him in this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to cut you off there, Shay, if you wanted to speak quickly. I do see Club Irons had a bit of a moment, but further down. He's quite a couple of positions down in this race, down to 27th now. He lost about 6 positions just in that last couple of seconds. I'm not too sure if we possibly can see what happened. He's down in 27th at the moment. I did see him drop all the way from 22nd position, so he's definitely had a little bit of a slip-up somewhere on track. It was quite a gradual, slow drop-off, not too much of a hectic drop-off. Natali loses 2 positions down in 19th position. We'll try and find it. Nothing from the club iron. So I'm not too sure what might have happened there for the driver. He has unfortunately dropped off. But for the time being, Pio Alejandro Valencia, 5th position, chasing onto the backside of Dionarine and JC Laverin. He needs to try and stay with this fight. The Porsche doesn't have that straight line speed over the Mercs up in front, so he needs to try and keep that slipstream, else he might be left for bait just a little bit further behind to Young Dilworth.
I noticed earlier on as well that Kingston Mullins has been into the pit lane around the 23-minute mark. That is way too early for a pit stop, so I'm not sure what happened to Kingston Mullins. He had to go into the pits. This is what happened to Club Iron then. So it's coming onto the oval. He's already slow. So has he already had his moment? Oh, bit of a wiggle there as well. Rejoining the oval. Something's broke on the rear of that car. I reckon that is crabbing quite badly. So he's hit something coming onto the oval as he span at the corner before the oval where we're seeing drivers make mistakes. But Club Iron there, yeah, definitely that car is crabbing. Let's see what happened earlier in the lap then. So he's come out the Western Horseshoe. He's coming down to the left-hander in towards the oval. And around she goes. Oh, no, has a bit of a snap. Oh, into the wall. It snapped on him, that did, as he got the power down.
Yeah, that's a rather big accident there for Club Iron. I mean, I was expecting it just to be a bit of a rear end loss like we've seen all day, but it looked like he tried to correct it. He felt that the rear end loss was coming, tried to correct it, looked like a bit of an overcorrection from his side, and just slammed right into that barrier. And I mean, that is about a 45-degree holding angle to keep this car straight. That entire front camber is gone out of the window. Let's see if he can, it looks like he has been able to nurse it to the pit lane. Thankfully for him, it is just about in our pit stop window. We're talking about 30 to 35 minutes into this race. So maybe he can make it to the end by pitting at about the 28-minute stop time. But only time is going to tell. Chandler 5-Ash, 22nd position. He also had a great race last week, fighting it up in the last couple of moments. Currently on the backside of Alan Ware. Dionarine finally gets ahead because Laverin comes into the pit lane. And black flag. That's a drive-through penalty. Laverin possibly speeding into the pit lane.
Yeah, it has to be speeding into the pit lane. It came up the moment he went in. So Laverin there has just really hurt himself in this race. It's 5-Ash getting closer to the back of Ware, just in front of him, but patiently waits through the Le Mans chicane, looks to get the run out of it. Had a bit of a wiggle on the exit there. You just saw his line was a little wider on exit than he'd have liked. Young Dilworth and Davis having a fight. Henriksen coming back up into P11 now. And Laverin, well, that's kind of ruined his race a little bit now. That drive-through penalty was running in a solid P3. Rain Woodside also into the pits. And here is Ware now on that inside line, over that of 5-Ash in that light blue Mercedes, going round the outside of the tri-oval section. He'll be on the outside line for turn number 1. Brakes a little bit later than Ware. Can he hold it around the outside? No, he can't. As that corner tightens up, it is difficult to do. And that puts Rosell now back onto the rear of these two. He really caught up through turn number 1.
Yeah, definitely did catch up. And let's see, we missed a little bit of contact there with 5-Ash, but he is trying his absolute hardest to get back up to where he was. He did have a bit of a spin early on. You can see him flashing one of the Ford Mustangs there, one of the back markers. as
No,
he
that is-
continues. Oh, that's not a back marker. That's actually Battaglia in 21st position. So just getting past him now and onto the backside of Alan Ware coming into the next couple of corners. Can Alex Rosell pull a Perez back in 2020 Sakir? Can he do it like he did in Spa last week? If he can, we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do it all the way from the back up to P number 1. I think it's going to be quite a long shot, but obviously anything can happen. Another half an hour of racing is still to go for Alex Rosell. He was able to pull it off last week. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult in terms of this week's racing. He dropped off a lot further back compared to last week. And now around the outside of Alex where he goes. All our pit stops now coming in for that 30-minute pit stop time.
I tell you what, Rosell is not hanging around here, is he? He is getting a move on, hopping over the Le Mans chicane exit as he passes that over the back of there. Rosell is slouch. He is charging. He is absolutely charging. A man on a mission today. Where will he finish? Let's see.
This does make it's just gonna. This makes me incredibly curious to see if Rosell is going to be our comeback kid for the second straight week.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of hoping for. Obviously, you can see he's moved up a lot now, but I think he still needs to do another pit stop because he put it so early on in this race that that fuel tank is not going to hold him until the end unless he's pulled some weird magic. It would be quite crazy to see Rosell not needing to pit again for the next half an hour, but unfortunately, I think that will be the case. So he's up into 8th position now. I think he's going to lose out quite a bit. Let's see what strides he can make, though, while the rest of the cars are in the pit lane. He can pit significantly later than the rest of this pack. He probably put in a bit of fuel during his pit stop with fixing up a bit of the bodywork and stuff. So let's see what he can do. But he is just eating through the pack. Up in front of Dionarine he goes and back up into that fighting chance. If he didn't have to pit now, boy, oh boy, we would be seeing Comeback King 101. He would be fighting up towards P number 1. But unfortunately, with that pit stop, he's going to drop it. But Dionarine, a bit of a snap there, coming onto the back straight off the Western Horseshoe. Thankfully, he's able to hold it, but it's going to open him up completely there for Valencia behind.
Yeah, it is indeed. I think that Merc should just stay in front of Valencia, even with the slipstream. You can just see that Dionarine is just gaining over him ever so slightly. So he is just being able to pull away. And now that time starts to tumble down and they head to the braking zone. And Dionarine, again, opens that gap up to half a second. But Rosell here. Oh, he nearly took off, did Rosell there. He literally bunny hopped over the curb and nearly took off into the outside wall. That is how hard this man is pushing in this race. He is leaving everything out there. He hit that curb so hard. I'd love to get another angle of that one if we can a little later on. But Rosell there, literally flying through this Daytona circuit.
Yeah, this is a man on a mission over here. He's upset from earlier, and you can see it. I mean, he is driving with all forms of passion. He has the replay coming onto the back straight off the Western Horseshoe, so we'll get the Le Mans chicane a little bit further up. But he literally almost turned into a plane there. That would have been a green Mercedes. It would be cool if they had their own airplane brand. I think Alex Rosell would pioneer that branch into Mercedes. But let's see what happened. Yeah, coming into the entry of the chicane, it looked like he took the first chicane pretty well. The entrance to the section over there, but just coming out of it, completely mounting that exit curb. So you can see how much he's pushing. And there you see it, the entire front end, complete bunny hop. And that's a good, I'd say, 30 centimeters off the ground.
And he's had a big lift through there, just maybe even a slight touch of the brake, just to make sure it didn't go into that outside wall. But Rosell now running up in P3. Obviously, the two leaders after their pit stops, Parks, Miller and Carroll, absolutely dominant. But Rosell, well, he's up into 3rd place. We think we believe he's got another pit stop to make in this one. That would have been some big lifting and coasting through the infield section to save fuel, but not a chance. He's got to pit again towards the end of this race. Where will he drop down? And he's absolutely charging at the moment. His lap times aren't anything special, but it's without a slipstream. 45.8 is his last lap. Obviously, that was by going airborne. He's done a 44.6. And he's absolutely charging at the moment. Pollard with a slowdown down in 6th position. What can Alex Rosell get out of this race? As you can see, the drivers coming through the Le Mans chicane. This is down with Evan Davis on the back of Young Dilworth. That Ford Mustang starting to charge up the pack again. Nate Pollard hasn't pitted yet. He's running in P6 in this race. He's the guy with the slowdown penalty as well. And he comes into pit lane now, so we'll probably get that slowdown completed. And he's got himself a penalty in the process of entering the pit, so possibly speeding in the pit lane once again. Second drive with a drive-through tonight.
That is very unfortunate there for Pollard. But Yeah, I think many drivers underestimate the practice needed for pit road entry, especially at some of these American circuits. I feel like the pit lane, not as like a normal European style circuit, it sometimes is a little bit different in terms of where you actually need to engage that speed limiter, and especially the entrance to Daytona. It's quite a fast pit entry. You know, you're literally just skewing off to the left side of the track. You need to slam those brakes. I mean, we saw it a lot in the Daytona 24-hour where drivers were constantly missing that speed limiter line, and multiple infractions and penalties coming in. Something to talk about though, Carroll has lost that gap he had to Parks Miller, 8 tenths behind now. It was actually 1.1 seconds a few seconds ago, but he's managed to pull it up a bit. I'm not too sure what happened to Carroll, possibly a squabble in the past lap. Last lap he was actually faster, but little bit of a moment there. Thankfully he was able to catch it, but we'll have to see how it still turns out for these two.
That's Parks Miller then, who's now decided to take off through the Le Mans chicane straight away. As we spoke about Alex Rosell, look, bang, off that. Not quite as high as Rosell, but still a scary moment. Well, that's brought Carroll right back into play. 0.4 of a second now. And these two, 13 seconds clear of Rosell, who is still got to pit. They're 14.5 seconds clear of Denarine. I think the fight is now going to be on between these two with 25 minutes left to get this race. Rosell into the pits. So he's going to try and give himself as much time as possible in this race to make up places.
Yeah, let's see what he does. He's obviously going to take slightly less fuel because he put in already earlier when he came in to repair that damage. So it's going to be a slightly faster pit stop compared to the rest of the grid, but unfortunately he still has to sit. He still has to come in with that speed limit activated, and so you're just going to see his name drop off. The question is, how far will he drop off before he gets back out on the grid? He has one of the club crew, night crew, just trying to navigate his way through the international horseshoe, still without that front bumper. So he's got a lot of reduced aero on that front, but he has managed to keep the car 100% under control, which is great to see. But here's Mr. Troy Anderson, up still up into 5th position. He's done his pit stops. Kingston Mullings is having a great run here today, guys. The young gun, 17 years old, up in 6th position, and he is really doing a good job. I wonder where Batson is out on track. One of the youngest drivers out here. I think we said 7 years old. And obviously he had a bit of a moment there at the beginning of this race, and I believe he's quite a bit further down, 47th position, and he's actually out of this race. That's 7 laps down for him, and doesn't look like he's actually going around track anymore. So it's very unfortunate to see him in this race. We've also got Rain Woodside in 13th, another 17-year-old who's currently going around track. So it's great to see all the drivers. But there's Alex Rosell, comes out of the pit box, 14 positions down in 16th.
Yeah, a lot of work.
I'm sorry about that.
There you go.
Rosell is making this race an absolute movie for himself. Last week we saw him come back from the absolute pits of defeat, and now we're watching him do it all over again. I don't know if he's going to take first this time, but fingers are kind of crossed. I kind of rock with this driver right now.
Yeah, he's the man on a mission at the moment. Valencia's got past Denarine as well for 3rd place. So the Porsche running in P3 at the moment, going well, is Pierre Alejandro Valencia at the moment. He's got ahead of Denarine in that Mercedes-Benz. Denarine at the moment, you just feel like he's having the wrong look at times, because obviously he had that race near enough.
Someone was off.
From Rosell doing really well, and today he's had his own moments. It's not allowed him to be on the top step of the podium once again, but at the minute not on the podium. The bonus for him, he's going to outscore Rosell as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Sorry, I just saw in the glimpse there on the left-hand side of the screen, there was indeed, it looked like a Ford Mustang sitting backwards on track as we were watching Pierre Alejandro. I'm not too sure if whoever it was. Unfortunately, I didn't see any names dropping off the timings tower, so I'm assuming it was unfortunately a driver a little bit further behind. Here's Lewis Holloway. This is in a McLaren, so I don't think it looked like quite a big figure car on the side of the track. Oh no, it was indeed Lewis Holloway. There it is, just coming. He sits by the Michelin board, and no, never mind. It wasn't actually him. He did go off, but he managed to recover quite quickly. The car on the left-hand side was sitting completely dormant, and here comes the flashes behind him from the driver of Troy Anderson behind him as he joins out on track. Troy Anderson wanting to try and get past. Unfortunately for him, he does get past quite easily as Lewis Holloway pulls out onto the grass and almost loses the car again. But back up with Alejandro Valencia. He's now still out on track, and he's going to start to feel the pressure from Denarine.
Yeah, you got a feeling that Dianarine's just going to try and follow him through into turn one. He's going to look to go to the higher side of the circuit at the moment. Breaks a bit earlier than Valencia does Dianarine there, or maybe a lift off, but he definitely let Valencia head into turn one. Pretty comfortable there. And yeah, Valencia doing a stellar job in that Porsche at this moment in time in this race. The two leaders, 15.5 seconds clear, and we are 3 wide on the oval. This is Rosell, who is trying to carve his way through the field, and he did get past Lewis in all of that one. So Rosell is not hanging around at the moment.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds in 1.5 laps. I mean, this guy is, I don't know if he maybe slapped an extra turbo in at the pit stop or something, but he is absolutely flying, and he is so hungry to get back up onto that top spot of the podium. This is the second round in a row where he's had an incident towards the start of the race. I'm not too sure if it's possibly due to tires or something just not feeling right to him, but you know, nothing that happened to him at the beginning of the race has happened again. So he's definitely become comfortable, as we see one of the looks like I'm not too sure who that was.
Chopped down 2 of my guys.
Yeah, looks like he and I think he's going to slay more, unfortunately, Shay. So you might want to close your eyes.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually so impressed by it.
He's not hanging around to make friends, is he, tonight, Rosell? He's out there for blood, isn't he? This is on board with Sanchez, who is looking up the inside into the Le Mans chicane on that of Saber. Can't get them move. Sorry, no, that is Henriksen. Sorry, on the back of Sanchez, looking up the inside at the Le Mans chicane and backed out that one before the braking zone. And just to remind you all that Rosell did get taken out last week at the Le Mans chicane in an incident, 3 wide going into Le Mans, and it just didn't work. And tonight was his own error. But Henriksen here, the Porsche's looking pretty good at the moment. Pulls to the outside of Sanchez. And Henriksen, is he going to try and swoop around the outside as that car tilts on the tri-oval section? You just see Sanchez being able to just creep further forward a little bit later on the brakes. Is he Henriksen? No. Holds it around the outside, just about bumper to bumper. And tucks back in behind now. Loses it all that time as he has to go the longer way around. Now looking up the inside into the International Horseshoe. Brakes later up the inside. Henriksen is another man on a mission after an earlier spin, or an earlier incident, sorry, with the Brit. Can't remember who it was. It was Collishaw he had the incident with at this corner, the dogleg earlier on. And Rosell now had to gain just over 1.5 seconds onto the back of Coleman. He's already there.
Yeah, this man is on an absolute mission. He's already been denounced as the clutch killer, three positions in 1 lap. And I mean, he definitely likes riding his clutch. I guess that's the quickest way to burn a clutch out and have to replace it. So, but it doesn't look like it's going to end like this for him. I mean, he's not going to sit dormant in the top 15. He's already on the backside of Coleman here, and I believe he's going to make light work of this again. We can't keep giving him killer names, guys. He can't be the BMW killer as well. I guess we just got to, denounce it. Oh my gosh, he is a BMW killer. Thankfully, he revives Coleman and he loses the front bumper. So Alex Rosell, being too aggressive, has taken the front bumper right off of his car.
This man is driving fast. He's driving angry. People need to stay out of his way.
The question is now is how much is that front bumper loss going to hurt him for the rest of this race? That's going to be the big question for Rosell, but he is charging at the moment. He is leaving everything out there, including bodywork, in this race. So let's see what happens here. He comes through the left-hand bend, gets the run underneath the BMW, and then just taps the rear of him as he put the throttle down. Oh, we're being told by our producer the BMW may have just started to lose the rear of the car, so maybe not all on Rosell there, but yeah, he's leaving rear bumpers, front bumpers and paintwork out there at the moment. And let's see a different angle of that manoeuvre then. So here comes Rosell once again into the left-hander before the oval. And did that BMW's rear just start to step out on him? No, definite contact. Looks like from that angle.
Yeah, I think the BMW driver could start to sense he might have lost it. He was very wide compared to the normal line and actually driving over the curbs, matter of fact. So I think the slowdown was to prevent any form of spin, but unfortunately you can't slow down when you've got Alex Rosell behind you. That's unfortunately not an option. You may as well rather spin on your own than being taken out by Alex Rosell, because now you've ripped the poor man's bumper off. He's going to be very upset with you in the next coming races, so you better watch out for him out on track. from the Vexter Racing team. You might get a nice note after the race. So watch out there, Coleman. It might be a little bit eventful after this race. But Rosell still pushes on. Here's Woodside and Sanchez a little bit further up in front. The next of his name taking is just up ahead, and it doesn't look like that bumper. Oh, one of the Clutch crew members slapping the side of the wall there as he comes into the Le Mans chicane, and he actually misses the chicane there. I just saw in the background, so very unfortunate for him. We're still on board though with Saber behind Hendrickson, and Sanchez is trying to follow along that train, so it's Woodside a bit further behind, 16 seconds of a gap. So that Clutch crew member, unfortunately not a part of this battle. Looks like he might have been a back marker, hence why he was shoved off to the right hand side of the track. But the rest of the car is still chasing on strong. Yeah, Hendrickson is going to have no advantage here compared to Andre Saber, and you're going to see the catch up is immense on that Ford Mustang. He's already looking on the outside line. Will Saber try and cover? Will Hendrickson try and cover into the inside line? It looks like he does, and he'll keep it for the time being from Saber and Woodside. Sanchez just a little bit further behind them as they go into the international horseshoe.
Yeah, indeed he is, and a great little fight between these three coming through. That's Henriksen now, obviously up into the P10 position. He's got 1.2 seconds to gain on P9. Still Valencia, look at that, he's opened the gap up to Dianarine. 0.8 of a second further forward. This is Evan Davis, still chasing down the back of Kingston Mullings at the moment, who's having a terrific night here at this moment. Obviously 14 minutes left to go. Oh, Zachary, a little bit of a slip there as he exits the corner. That's Jesse Laverin just in front of him, who had to serve a drive-through penalty earlier on. He's trying to make up places, and they've got Ware just behind them as well. Laverin's gone very deep at the international horseshoe, and that has allowed the blue, yellow and orange Ford Mustang back through on the inside line, and these two just exchanging places every lap they go. But into the final 14 minutes now. Is this where Jimmy Carroll is going to think of maybe attacking his teammate and race leader Parks Miller in this race? Remember, there is no teams in this championship, but drivers from the same team have all entered. It is every man for themselves, and Jimmy Carroll will want that race win as much as Parks Miller. So we're going to see, I think, an interesting final 14 minutes between these two. Davis within a tenth of Kingston Mullings for 6th and 7th place. And keep your eye on Rosell, because he's already on the back of Rain Woodside. Here goes Evan Davis, though, up the inside in towards turn 1. Breaks a little later than Kingston Mullins. Carries the speed through. Mullings has to tuck in behind that of Evan Davis. Good little move there from the 66 Ford Mustang. And Davis moves up into P6. Rosell on the back now, 0.07 of a second of Rain Woodside. He's once again about to claim another victim, but that could be, he's already done it. There we go, he's 13th place, as we're on board with Kingston Mullings, still following Davis through into the dogleg. 17 seconds for Rosell to catch Sanchez. No, because Woodside and Rosell keep changing places in 13th and 14th, and there they both are. And now Rosell looks like he's got that one done. 17.5 seconds in 12.5 minutes. That's a big ask for Rosell to catch Sanchez.
Yeah, definitely so. But something of note as well is we see Shelton Lewis up on the inside line here of Gaza, and great move. Sorry, that's Coleman. Lewis on Coleman. Great move onto the inside line. But something we've got to remember for Rosell, even if he doesn't get into that podium spot of this race, he is just ever so improving the amount of points he's getting as each position he takes. Remember, currently he sits in 13th position. That's still 49 points up for grab for the race leader. Obviously, first we'll get 100 points, so that's practically half the points that he's managed to recover from losing out at the beginning of this race. Oh, a bit of a bump there on the backside of Shelton Lewis from Jay Coleman, and fortunately, it doesn't look like we're seeing another ripped pink bumper out on track, so Shay can rest assured and wipe his forehead off. But he continues to push her on track. Coleman is going to want to get past him in the next couple of moments. Hendrickson is now on the backside of Kalvach, and he is 100% caught up there for the Race 4 G Sports team. 10th place. Can he move up to 9th? It'll be a good points increase, not 58 to 61 points here if he gets past. Going into turn number 1, it's going to be a dive on the inside line, and it looks like he's going to be able to make it work. It all comes down to the braking zone, though. Hendrickson on the inside line. He's later on the brakes compared to the likes of Kalvach, and manages to get up in front there in his blue Porsche. Great move from Hendrickson, and moves up into 8th position.
And Kingston Mullins has just been into the pit lane, so was running really well up in 7th place, fighting with Evan Davis. And now he's had to pit, and this will allow Rosell to go into 12th place. So Rosell will just gain them extra few points. Damage limitations for Rosell tonight, so not sure why Mullins has had to pit. I think he pitted around the 23-minute mark, so that would explain why in this race. But Henrickson then now up into 8th place. with that move over that of Kalvac. So, yeah, great little move for Henriksen in this one. Look at this with Alan Ware and that of Lavrin as well, who's still trying to recover. Nearly into a great awareness from Alan Ware there to just turn out of the corner as Lavrin missed his brakes a little bit.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
go for it.
We're coming up on the last 10 minutes of this race, and I'm really, really impressed at the top 10. We got Parks, Miller, and Carroll in front. They've been putting on an absolute slipstreaming clinic this entire race. They've been stuck to each other. They haven't fallen off. It's insane. I actually don't know if they're going to be the ones to take first and second position, or if Rosell is going to find his way up through all these other positions. I'm actually biting my nails this time around.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes because, like we mentioned, there's no team play in this. This isn't even though we saw it in Season 1 of Foxxtecca, it did come down to the end that one of them had to be chosen as champion. And so Parks, Miller, and Carroll, they're going to have to make that difficult decision of who takes the win here today. For the time being, Parks, Miller has literally not lost the lead of this race once. But obviously, Jimmy Carroll has been on the backside multiple occasions this race. And all he wants to do is get past. He has Pio Alejandro Valencia still pushing onto the backside. And now he's still got Dianarine, a little bit of back marker up in front that they really want to get past just before the horseshoe, and especially before the Le Mans chicane. Looks like they're going to be able to navigate it quite easily. That's one of the other Mustangs along the outside line. And he just takes the outside to try and lose a bit of speed over the cars up in front. You can see he's lifting slightly to allow Dianarine to go up in front. It would be a terrible occasion trying to navigate going side by side into the Le Mans chicane, especially when you're not actually racing each other and it's a back marker situation. That could prove pretty intense in the steward's office. So great move there from that Mustang to let the drivers pass. And now still navigating traffic. They really want to try and catch up at 18 seconds of a gap. I definitely don't think it's going to be enough for Valencia to catch up to the likes of Carroll.
Tell you what, I think we're underestimating how good Valencia has done in this race in that Porsche. He's done a fantastic job to keep that one ahead of Dianarine, and never mind onto in the top 5 especially. What a fight we are seeing though further down the order. Oh, hang on a moment. Dianarine's looking to that outside line into turn 1. No, not going to think about it. Breaks a little earlier than the Porsche. Down the order then, Christian Montgomery in the Foxxtecca car, P37 at the moment. If you watched and tuned into last week, we obviously had the podcast with Kristen Montgomery last week. I believe we're bringing you another podcast episode in the break between the AM and the Pro race this week as well. So we featured Kristen Montgomery last time out. Not the race she'd have been hoping for today. I'm sure she'd have been hoping to be up the order a little bit more. Well done to avoid the wall there. Just outbraked herself a little bit and misses the wall as she gets ready to get this one back on track. She drops down to 38th place, and 38th will be where she'll possibly finish unless she can gain any more, because Pollard is in the pits down in 39th.
She was looking pretty frustrated there just now on the webcam. I would hope that she doesn't let this mistake ruin her nerves for the rest of the race and that she can just run it to finish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she's only got 8 minutes left. It's not like she's made that mistake early on. So I think at this point, it's quite easy for her to just put her head down and finish off strong here. It's about 7 minutes left even. Natali gets ahead of Lavrin as he comes into the pit lane, actually. So Lavrin seems like he also might have pitted slightly too early. He comes into the pit lane to possibly refuel that car. But now this is with Valencia and Dianarine. And unfortunately, I don't think it's the easiest race here for Valencia. We were mentioning it's a great victory for him if he does finish off here in third in the Porsche, but there is a big blue Mercedes with Asus sponsorship behind, wanting to try and get past, and he is just bump drafting that Porsche, trying to find a way around, but he goes defensive every single time into turn number 1. The Porsche, having slightly better rotation and exit speed, is just abusing the fact that the Mercedes cannot get past, and it just seems like Dianarine not able to make the dive anywhere in the next couple of corners here, and he's going to remain dormant for the next 6 minutes. Oh, there's another Mustang off, unfortunately, and so he's going to remain dormant if he cannot make a dive in the next couple of laps.
And I tell you what Valencia's doing really well, Tristan, is he's putting the car in all the right places in this race at the moment. He is not making it easy, as we have a mechanical flag for Davis, who was running so well. That's put Henriksen now up into P7. What has happened to Davis? He's just been given the meatball flag. Let's take a look what happened. It's got to have been at turn 1. That's where they used to have just passed him. So he's looking up the inside of a back marker, brakes heavily. Rear going to step out on him. Oh, nice through. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Snap.
Yeah, and that's broken the right front, I reckon, on that car. And it just kind of, again, just another snap on corner exit. And it bunny hopped over the curb and slammed him hard into the wall. And that is the end of Evan Davis's night. And what looked to be a good result for him now is towed back to the pit lane. And he's going to have to wait for that one to get back out on track. But Henriksen and everybody below him. Again, Rosell now, P11. Just a couple more points in this championship. And when you've had a bad night, you know, and drivers around you start to fall off, the extra positions you can gain, that is all beneficial when it comes to the end of the season. These extra couple of points he may have scored here tonight with the likes of Kingston Mullings having to pit, with Davis there just having his own mistake. Come the end of the season, he could be thankful that that's happened.
Yeah, it's still a good 55 points he grabs here tonight if he stays in 11th position. But I was just going to say, so unfortunate there for that driver who just made the mistake into turn number 1. And I think the main reason there for Davis as well is that turn number 1, it's just after the pit lane. So if you do happen to come into turn number 1, make a bit of an error and get damage on that car, you have to take the car around the entire 1 minute and 50 or odd second lap time, well, not even including damage, and try and nurse it back to the pit lane. Sometimes it is unfortunately better just to get that toe back and wait the extra couple of minutes and not cause chaos for the other drivers. So it's very unfortunate because it's not like it's an easy limp back like the Western Horseshoe, because that's obviously right by the entrance of the pit lane. Here we go. Lewis Holloway on the outside line as he tries to, he's on the inside, apologies, and it looks like that might be our main man over there in 11th position. Oh, and he's off the track. And very unfortunate there in what a flippant save, I've got to say, but he's still on the outside line, and unfortunately for him, he's been completely pushed off. Very unfortunate there for Rosell, and I'm not too sure if he's going to lose out any positions over here. 12th, Kingston Mullings is just behind him, but what an absolute save from Alex Rosell.
That was kind of a weird incident. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it seemed like the cars didn't actually touch. That might have been like a netcode issue.
Yeah, it looked a little netcoded from where I was sitting. But Alex Rosell, tell you what, well, just as we've complimented how good he's done to sort of recover points in this race, it could have all ended up in disaster there. With 3 minutes left to go, though, Dion Areen a second behind Valencia now, so he's slowly dropping out that slipstream a little bit. So what has happened to Dion Areen as this race has gone on? He is just tumbling back a little bit. Now, this is going to allow Porsche to maybe take that podium spot. The traffic is playing its part in this race. The leaders still inseparable at the moment. 0.3 of a second separate them. 2.5 minutes remaining. As Jimmy Carroll got it in the locker to regain that 0.3 and make the move. This is down with Garza once again, looking to attack Lewis in towards the Le Mans chicane, and waits for that better exit as the McLaren mounts the curbs hard on that second part of the chicane, and that gave Garza the run. Now he's going to try and possibly take the high side as they come to the tri-oval section. There's going to be no room on that inside line. Rosell and Mullings have swapped positions further forward, and here comes then Garza. Will he go to that outside line looking into turn 1? Lewis is just going to hug this inside line and keep it tight, you'd imagine. Oh no, he's opened the door for Garza.
I've got to give it to Lewis tonight. Every time we've seen him, he's been pretty much battling this entire race, but he's kept his cool through so much of it. I haven't seen him spin, didn't really tap any cars, no wall taps. He's doing really, really well tonight.
Yes,
and I've got to say that that outside line move from him seems to have actually worked for him. He managed to hold the outside line, broke a little bit later, and just got that outside rotation compared to Garza, who broke early on the inside line. Odom gets ahead of Ware in 24th. So he still holds that final 15th position slot. Here's Alex Rosell. He's actually lost out to Kingston Mullings in those previous couple of corners. So obviously the tyres a little bit cooked after that off track, and Kingston Mullings found the opportunity to dive up on the inside line. And you can definitely see Rosell has turned to a little bit more of a safer driving style. There's no point anymore in pushing because unfortunately Saba is about 20 seconds ahead on track, and so you can see he's completely calmed himself down now. He's not wanting to risk it, like you mentioned, Matthew. Imagine getting all the way up to 11th position, and then towards the end of the race, you just completely throw it away from being too aggressive. So you can see he's definitely eased it off.
He's got a drive-through.
Completely taken off. He's got a drive-through from track limits, and that's commentator's curse. It's got to be.
It's got to be commentated. Henriksen, another man on a mission. He's just overtaken Calvash, but Calvash has just come back ahead. So a little fight here for Henriksen on the final lap, and Parks Miller may be able to breathe a sigh of relief because he's got an 8/10 of a second gap back to Jimmy Carroll. That's possibly the only other time that they've been this far apart. Jimmy Carroll now trying to carry as much speed through the Le Mans chicane for the final time. Needs the slipstream, needs the run at this last part of the track. I don't think he's close enough to get the run to pull alongside and maybe in front. This, though, could be the way of Parks Miller to take his first win of the season. And what a race these two have put on. A clinic in slipstreaming, as Shay said a little earlier on. But Parks Miller is going to come to the line because Carroll's catching him but will not be able to get past. And they come across the line. Parks Miller 1, Carroll 2, and Valencia, for me, this has been one of the drives of the day in the AM category. The Porsche fending off all the Mercedes-Benz. He's going to get himself on the podium. Parks Miller has done a great job, but the battle it hasn't ended as Henriksen here trying to get on the back of Calavash through the Le Mans chicane. Just them little last few metres to go, and he's still got Sanchez breathing down his neck as well. Has Henriksen got enough run to get to the line and maybe just be an inch ahead of the Porsche in front of him? I don't think he's going to be able to. He's closing. Is he going to run out of time? He's going to try and sneak it up the inside. This will be for P7. And what a comeback for Henriksen. Has he got it in front? He has got it in front for P7. Henriksen takes it at the line. And
you can see the celebrations. The celebrations at the bottom of the screen. He is so happy with that one. Final position up. That's a couple more points there. Unfortunately, Sanchez a little bit further behind. You could see he had huge damage. He was scraping on the backside, of his Corvette there. So he definitely wasn't catching. But what a great move. And we might see it again here because Betchel right onto the backside here of Shelton Lewis. And it's front engine. It's the Aston Martin versus the McLaren, and I think he's going to have the better run. Here he comes on the outside line, coming down to the start-finish line. Is it going to be Betchel? Is it going to be Lewis? Lewis is holding that inside line, but Betchel's now completely adjacent to him, coming down to that start-finish, and he takes it on the final corner. Around he goes, and into 17th he will take it from Lewis. So two cars claiming a position. Oh, and there's Ken Majori. Into the wall he goes. But what a great race and what a great overtake there for two cars just on the line.
Now, these results will change at the end because Rosell did not do that drive-through. So I think he will drop down the order when we get the final classifications pop up on screen. A 40-second time penalty to his name. And how crucial is that going to be?
Yeah, I think he's going to drop to around about 18th or 19th. We'll have to see. But, man, he basically loses all of his points. From 55 points, he's going to go all the way down to 19th, possibly. But we'll see it here. There he is down in 18th. So it's Caden Parks Miller who takes first. Jimmy Carroll will take second. Pio Alejandro Valencia takes third in his Porsche. Maya Dianarine, fourth position. Troy Anderson in the Corvette takes fifth. Razan Young Dilworth takes sixth with Vegard Hendrickson with that last-minute overtake for seventh. Alex Kalvach, very disappointed there, down in eighth with Clayton Sanchez in ninth. Andre Saber takes 10th. And Kingston Mullings, the young gun, 11th position. Rain Woodside finishes behind, also another young gun in 12th position. Joe Coleman takes 13th. Sol Garza in 14th position. Zachary Battaglia, 15th. And 16th for Benjamin Betchel. Shelton Lewis takes 17th. And there we have 18th is Alex Rosell, 36 points only for the driver.
Indeed it is. 19th place is Thomas Natali, Julian Rees in P20, Ken Majori, P21, Chandler 5 Ash 22nd. From Aaron Sunday, Kamari Odom, Jesse Lavrin was 25th after his earlier drive-through and he had to do a pit stop late on. Richard Swiderski, 26th from Evan Davis, Paul Collishaw from Lewis Holloway, Alan Ware, Sidarius Days in 31st, Ethan Halfhide in 32nd, Zachary Wood from Uvin. I'm going to butcher this one. Tristan?
Sandarigama,
thank you very much. Jacob Perry from Edward Ramirez.
Yeah, and then we've just got those final few who finished off at the end. Kristen Montgomery thankfully finished the race off. Eduardo Martinez Tostado takes 38th. Was Louis Martinez, 39th. Alex Barrington takes 40th. Justin Klubine, 41st. And with Nate Pollard, 42nd. Jeffrey Hong will take 43rd position. John Smallwood takes 44th. Gavin Mangold, 45th for him. And Samuel Bennett Samuel Burnett takes 46. Landon Batson, the young 7-year-old, did not finish tonight's racing, down in 47th. And Kenton Young, our final driver from RS Designs, takes 48th position on the grid. But that officially rounds up the AM class of racing here. And I got to say, guys, before we move over to the podcast and the pro race, what on earth are our expectancies for this next race?
I can't say. You know, the pros, they put on an insane fast show last week right after Pro-Am. And with this track, anything could happen. We saw quite a bit of drama on the track today, and that was just coming from, you know, either just a few battles or just some people just getting the wrong line and falling off track or flying over curves. I can't exactly say what we'd expect from Pro, but I know it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Shay there. I think with how fast and close the pro grid was last week, I think we're going to be in for more of that tonight, and more of that slipstream strategy, I think, may come into play in that second race as well. It's going to be an hour of pure class from the pro grid. We'll see the AMs next time out at Silverstone for the first B class race of the championship, which will be 2 races with a reverse grid in that second race next week. So the AMs will be taking to Silverstone, the home of British Motorsport, next time out, as we get ready to go for the pros.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Welcome to the league. Welcome to the league. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. I see you got your trophies out there stacked. Got the helmet. Setting the tone early, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, so tell the world about yourself. Let the people know who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been in racing.
All right. So I'm Kingston Mullings. I'm 14. I started racing when I was 6 at my local go-kart track.
Coming on YouTube.
Just try it out because it was my friend's birthday. And basically, once I got in the cart, I was still little. So when I was in the youth carts, I just liked it. Like, it was just a click. Like, just from there, everything started to go uphill. So we got into it. My dad, he actually raced before me, but not like professionally, but he raced rental carts at the track. And when he saw me do it, he sort of thought like, man, if my son's gonna get into this, then I have to know to teach him. So he went to start doing the leagues on Monday nights, and he started to get his racing knowledge up. So then when I come in, he's able to coach me and teach me along the way. So we do that. I do the youth league, and I did pretty bad starting. In youth league, I used to get last
A lot
every
of supporters
time,
for the
qualify
drivetrain and
last, and then
motorsport
coming
team.
out the cart, I always cry and go to my dad like, "Dad, I'm not good." And he always tell me, "Nah, just put your head down and keep going," because like everyone out there starts at the bottom. So it's not just you. Everyone else is going through the same struggle. You know what I'm saying? So after I sort of sucked it up, right? And it was like, nah, if I want to be the best, then I gotta learn how to deal with the pressure, you know? So I started getting better. I started just watching videos on it. So like how to
On
brake.
karting, watching videos on karting.
Yeah, watching videos on karting. So I'm still in the rental carts inside. I didn't get outside until this year, but we'll get to that later. So
So hold on, time out. Let's rewind as we go through this because you
mhm,
said so much. There's so much to unpack here. So 6 years old, your dad was racing rental cars.
yep.
He puts you in this cart completely bigger than you, right? Like you didn't fit in the cart. How
Well,
did that?
for it, no, I had to have a seat insert and a block and everything.
That's hilarious. How do you remember those feelings of like the first time of you actually getting in a rental car? Like, what was that like?
Um, I sort of was just like, this is pretty fast, especially because I had never gone in like a vehicle before because I was so little. So when
Yeah.
I went in there, right, I was like, wait, I'm in control. It's not like my dad driving me or my mom driving me. It was like I control what I'm sitting in right now. So it was almost like if I gotta control this, then I gotta be first. I gotta win. Like,
So you had that mentality from the jump, like you weren't scared. You were like just
mhm.
comfortable and just were like, "Oh, this is on me now. Let me go out there and win." From the
Welcome to the League, brought to you by Foxxtecca, where the fast become unforgettable. Here's your host, Chris Harris.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of The League by Foxxtecca. My name is Chris Harris. I am your host for this brand new podcast. This podcast is going to be where we break down everything culturally that involves the league. Racing culture, sports culture, tips, strategy, everything that you need to know about the esports world, in particular racing. Um, we're really, really happy to kind of kick this off. And whether you're here for the competition, whether you're here to learn, whether you're a pro, whether you're a beginner, we hope to bring you guys something that really resonates with you. So, the first thing I'm going to ask, if this is the type of content you're looking for, make sure you click the like and subscribe button so you're in the know every time we have a new interview coming up. This is going to help us grow the platform to be able to continue to do this and bring new people to the fold. I want to give a big shout out to our partners and sponsors of the league. The Roasted Record is the official fuel. It's a coffee company. It's the official fuel of the league. Superlap, the official sim center of the league. They're out there in Berkeley, Michigan, right outside Detroit. And Dakins Design, they're the official livery designers of the league. And so last year, man, I had a lot of fun doing this. And I really didn't know what to expect. I kind of jumped into it blind. And I knew I wanted to create this platform for people to race and have fun but little did I know the impact that it was going to have and how much fun it was going to be. And so our first interview, this getting ready for season 2, is with FaZe Superlap team. And FaZe, they had 4 people compete in the league last year, and now they're jumping in with 8. They're a Detroit-based team. They race in simulators and they race in real life. And so we got them on board. I'm going to bring these fellas in. Fellas! Oh, hold on. I got y'all on mute, right? Here we go. Let me fix this. All right, fellas, what's going on?
Hey,
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Technical difficulties for the first one. But I want to welcome y'all to the podcast. Everybody, please, one at a time, introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, my name's Andrew.
My name's Tyler.
My name's Zohair.
Kevin. Everybody, Russell Soto here. Anthony.
Eric.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So y'all looking like a whole boy band out there right now. There's so many, yeah, and this is super exciting, man. Anybody first? You guys are a Detroit-based team, and a lot of people out there don't know much about FaZe. So somebody please tell us, what is FaZe? What are you guys about?
I'd say FaZe is a Detroit-based team. It's a real-life motorsports team. They race GT4 and IMSA, which is the premier sports car racing in North America. Superlab is partnered as well with FaZe, and Superlab, of course, like you mentioned, main sponsor Foxxtecca. Together, they created this esports team, which has been going on this year. It's brand new, but it's definitely on the up and up. We've been competing in some really competitive fields, including what I consider the most competitive, one of the places to be, the Foxxtecca League. So it's just been an absolute awesome experience. We're happy to field four more drivers this time around. Being one of the drivers from last season, I know exactly what it's like. It's super competitive out there, and we're just ready for the challenge.
How many of you guys raced, by show of hands, because it's 20 of y'all? How many of y'all raced in the league last year? There you go. So give me some thoughts. What did you think about it? Like, how was the competition?
It was great, honestly. As somebody who was kind of running near the front for a little while, it was a lot of fun to see the skill levels of everybody who showed up every week. Everybody kind of bouncing around the track week to week. Everybody showed off their skill sets. We had rain racing. We had some high stakes racing at iconic tracks around the world. I'm excited to get back for season 2 and go back on another 8-week schedule of awesome tracks.
I was surprised, honestly. I didn't know what to expect, but to see the professional licensed drivers and some really high rated drivers compete in this series, and knowing that we were sticking it up with those guys meant everything. Gave us a good metric for how we can improve as drivers, and I definitely think we have a good reference for season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'll say a league. It caught me by surprise. The first week was a little nice, like a little reality check. I thought I was a man in the beginning. First week, but I think the league is great because it drives us to do better, competing against some of the best guys in the world, competing on the IMSA. These guys are competing on the IMSA championship, so I think it's a great platform to better our driving, improve as a team.
Agree. I think my personal opinion on it, from everything that's happened throughout the year, overall as a team, we gradually picked up and got faster towards at the end of the season. We had, I think, 3 or 4 of us running in the top 10 at Road 11 at one point. So honestly, I'm really excited for season 2. I know we're all excited for season 2, and they don't know what's about to come because FaZe is, when I say we bring in the fire, we bring in the fire.
No, you guys are definitely representing. I mean, there's 4 of y'all total. There's only 7 of you there now. I mean, excuse me, there's 8 of you guys total in the league this year. There's only 7 of you guys here now. But some of the newcomers, what's kind of your expectation, or what did you hear about the league, and what are you kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, so as a new driver for the league this year, watching my teammates run it in the previous season, it looked like it turned out to be far more competitive than I thought it was going to be. And I think this season looking like it's going to stack up to be incredibly competitive, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of healthy competition within our own team because there are 8 of us. We're going to be next to each other on track. We're going to race hard, but race clean, and I think we're going to do a lot of practicing together. So building everyone up, and I think we're really going to be competitive out there.
building everybody up. I know y'all have to be practicing ready to tear each other up. I know how competition goes. It's got to be that way, and it's fun, right? You're a team, but what they say, well, iron sharpens iron. So you guys all there competing with each other. I know practice has got to be fun. Do you guys practice a lot?
Oh yeah. What's really funny, at least for me personally, like I use Kevin and Russell as a metric of how I kind of stack up, and we're always as a whole team, we're always very friendly with each other. We're talking about data, sharing information, talking about how we're hitting different braking zones, where we're apex and stuff like that. So even though, yeah, we obviously all want to tear each other apart and be the fastest, but we're also very friendly with each other and very helpful to each other to get ourselves up to the top.
How we've learned to get Andrew to go faster is we'll drive on his bumper sometimes, and he motivates me to get a little bit quicker every week. So just see how you get more this time around.
Oh man, you're gonna abuse me all season long, aren't you?
That's awesome. What are some of the misconceptions of esports, right? I think something that's really interesting is that a lot of people are starting to see the growth of esports, and there's always this comparison to IRL, which is in real life, like real life racing, right? What are some of the misconceptions that people just don't realize about racing online?
They still think it's a joke.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd say people still consider it a video game. But the reality is, sim racing is a very serious tool. You have people who are in the pro categories using it to train for real life tracks and real life events. I know some of the guys here even are real life drivers. They do real life events as well, myself included. And we use it as a real tool to train. You have guys like Max Verstappen in Formula One using it. So people are using it at that level. By all means, it should be a serious thing, and it is.
I agree. Yeah. And if you were to take the sim racing aspect out of it, I'm using sim racing to help teach my daughter how to drive. So
wow.
She'll get on a set of courses with me. She'll come downstairs on a rig and just basic driving, learn how to merge on the interstate and stuff and whatnot. So in my opinion, sim racing can not only teach you to be a better racer, it can also help you develop your skills when you're starting to drive out, especially teenage.
Man, that's a good point. I never thought about that. It could be a regular driving training simulator, right? Like you can learn the same skills driving to the supermarket that you can, in the car. I never thought about that. That's really dope, man.
A lot of people really don't realize the physicality of sim racing too. Like, no, we don't have all the forces of the car going onto us, but like the steering wheel.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV here for the League by Foxxtecca. Apologies that we had to play last week's podcast. We was having some audio issues, and the reason for no interviews for the AM drivers is we have to get the podcast on just so we can set up the next session. Otherwise, the screen would be showing absolutely nothing whilst Jim sets up the session for the pro drivers. So that explains in the YouTube chat why there is no interviews for the AM category. But we are here now for the pros. Complete darkness has descended upon us here at Daytona as we get ready to go once again for the pro race. Week number 2 for the drivers in the A format of this race. So exactly the same as what we've just seen in the AM category as we head into the B format going into Silverstone for next week. The championship standings, though, pretty self-explanatory, but maybe a few changes with penalties that happened over the week. That is the one, so we'll try and keep the pro ones in just a moment. Yeah, it does say the pro standings, but that is the AM drivers, so we will get you hopefully the pro standings in just a few moments' time. As we are into qualifying at the moment, we'll get. I was about to go to it there, so I just talked to my producer. Gregory Hooverston is the man who's provisionally on pole position at the moment, with Pedersen in second place, Joff in third. Joff was the runaway winner last week, who put on a yes, Joff won, didn't he? Held off Palo at the end, I believe. Did, yeah, he drove pretty well in that Corvette as the Aston Martin of Alexei Nesov moves into second place. There are 33 drivers that have set a lap time, a further 34, 35, 36, 39 cars on track, 6 of which have set a lap time at the moment. We do have Alexei Nesov, who was one of the front runners, Tristan, last season, but couldn't make every round. And he was the runaway leader at the start of the season. So great to see him back. He's gone with the Aston Martin. So let's see what he can do this season.
Yeah, let's hope he's got the availability to stick around a little bit more than a couple of races, because he really was a fierce competitor with Hooverson and Pella and Toth. And obviously, just with, I believe he had a couple of in-person events. I believe he does in-person racing as well. So I think that unfortunately does take priority over sim racing. So let's just hope that he's got a little bit more time on his schedule for this week's racing. But one thing to mention, Joff is completely swamped this week around by the front engine cars. He is the only mid-engine car in the top 16 of drivers. The rest of the drivers are all Ford Mustangs, Aston Martins, and Mercedes-Benz. It is a massive stack up of cars. Now, actually, the top 18 are all front engine drives, except for Mr. Joff over here. So he seems to be doing exceptionally well here in the Corvette. The rest of the cars obviously will have the speed advantage with their big V8s up in front. So we'll have to see if he can do what we saw last round with Alejandro in his Porsche. So very similar circumstance here for Joff in the Corvette, and Russell Soto now comes into fourth. There we see Alejo Fernandez coming up into second, also in the Ford Mustang. So it is very dominated by the front engine cars. We do see Malik Ray down in 13th. He's in the Porsche, but the only Porsche that seems to be anywhere near the top, Javier Sierra, is down in 30th. The only other Porsche on this grid, and then my sweet Audi's down in 36, unfortunately, just not finding the pace around track. But at least it's still here, guys. At least I'm still seeing the four rings. You know, I guess that's the important part.
Yeah, and the other important part is we've got the liveries working this week for the Pro Field. So we get to see all the fantastic paintworks on the Pro cars this week. We've not brought you the points, but we've brought you the liveries this time around. I tell you what, Gregory Hooverson, what a change in fortune he had, because he was the best driver in terms of that race last week, in terms of positions gained. He is now the pole sitter. He had a poor qualifying at Spa, now has the opportunity to take his first pole position of the season. We've got a minute 15 seconds left, and this is going to be an interesting end to this session. I think drivers are finishing their last laps. They're not going to get, those who are starting a lap now aren't going to get their laps finished in time, because the session ends on that 10-minute mark. So can Hooverson improve on this final lap? Here is Joff down in 9th place now. So the front engine cars have absolutely swamped him a little bit more, and he's just hanging on in there in that top 10. But look at that. Not even a second covers the top 20 at the moment. That is crazy from these drivers.
Yeah, I mean, Joff gets his lap time in, and he's only up to 7th position after that improvement. So, you know, I was expecting him to come across the line and maybe see a jump up to the top. Rocks moves up into first, and unfortunately for Joff, that is it. The race winner last week, this time around at Spa, is down in starting outside of the top 10 for pro qualifying here for Daytona. So, unfortunately, the Corvette just not seeming like the strongest choice for this track layout. It seems like all the Porsche, all the Ford Mustangs, all the Mercedes, all the Aston Martins have really shown their strength and stride here. Here's Mr. Marox, the Hungarian, up in first position. He takes a 144.1, so 2/10 faster than Gregory Hooverson. Zane Khan's also done well to get himself up into third position, which is great. But Pedersen also gets pushed down to fourth. So, Matthew, we've seen a completely different grid build up to what we normally see.
Yeah, and this is the difference in the circuits, right? This is what we're going to get all season long. We go to Silverstone next week, it's again going to completely change. Marcel Marquez, though, is your driver on pole position. Gregory Hooverson, second place. What a turnaround from qualifying last week. Zane Khan will be P3 from Nikolai Pedersen. Then it is Joe Manzoli, P5, alongside Alejo Fernandez. Alexei Nesov, great to see him back, P7 alongside Russell Soto. Good qualifying for him. Zohair Ahmed will be P9 from Aaron Zirek in P10. Marley Joff, P11. Work to do, you feel, in that Corvette. He's got a big night ahead of him. And Kevin Rold rounds out the top 12.
Yeah, from 13th onwards, Malik Ray takes it for Team Foxxtecca with Ballas Palla down in 14th. My goodness, we've got a complete change up here. Leo Dragado, also one of the young guns, 15th position. Corbin Lenaway takes 16th with Michael O'Dell for the Adel Motorsports down in 17th. Ty Bennett takes 18th with Eric Hasselband down in 19th position. Paul Knight takes 20th with Adj Rosselli down in 25th. Gabriel Jones takes 22nd. Tyler King will take 23rd. Lucas Souza takes 24th. And Shea will take you through the rest.
And then in 25th, we have Tyler Carr, Miles Brown in 26, followed by Chris Wetz in 27. In 28th position, we have Elliot Cotti. Excuse me for that one. Caught. In 29th, Javier Sierra. 30th, Andrew Herschel. 31st, Cadence Presley. 32nd, Gabriel Ivanov. 33rd, Aaron Ackles with Dennis Grabowski in 34th. followed by Kyle Robinson in 35th and Anthony Cuthbert at 36th position.
37th. Merson will be P37. Cameron Brown from Alessandro Torchio, 39th. Not expected him down the grid. And it's great to not be the only one in the commentary box who struggles with some of these driver names. Fantastic. Thankfully, I'm not the one, because Tristan is absolutely spot on 99% of the time with these driver names. We apologise to all the drivers if we do butcher them. If you do want us, if you do get in touch with us, we will, just tell us how to pronunciate your name properly. We will get that one sorted. But yeah, Tristan is at 99% of the time spot on. We're getting ready for the green flag here, though. Big night for Joff in that Corvette. He's got to try and make some places just to, keep hold that championship lead. But the grid kind of a big mixture tonight, Tristan. This is could play into his advantage.
Yeah, 100%. It's a complete mix-up from what we normally see. We've got a lot of the top runners that have moved quite far down into the grid. Obviously, Ballas Palace starting down just inside of that top 15. So it's a completely different lineup to what we're used to, and different lineup means two things. One, it's going to be unpredictable, and two, it's going to be exciting. So it's always great to see this in sim racing, where it's not the same thing over and over again. We're seeing a different pole position sitter compared to what we saw last week, and I believe next week we're going to see a different pole position sitter as well. So, I mean, it's great to see all the differentiation, but one thing is for certain, the front engines are here to dominate. It is 100% settled that they will be the leading charge of this pack. And so, Marley Joff, if you are wanting to keep your eyes on someone, he is going to be the driver to watch out for. He is going to be fighting through this pack of cars that are 100% against him and trying to win this race. So let's see, but the cars are off, coming down into turn one.
Yeah, they've already got away here as we go green now, coming across the line, and it is that of Marcos who will lead into turn one. He's got a pretty comfortable lead, the Ford Mustang driver, looking pretty comfortable as they head into turn one. They all filter through 2 by 2 as they go further down the pack. Nearly 3 wide in the back at the backfield there, but all looks pretty cleanly through turn one. And a great start. There's a bit of a spinner off there, just sideways across the grass. Manages to keep it all together, and we are through nice and cleanly. And good start from Marcos in that Ford Mustang, but he has got Zane Khan. Oh no, it is not Marcos.
Oh, he's lost out. Yeah, he's lost out, down to 5th.
He's dropped down to 5th. It is Hooverson who leads this race now. So Hooverson from Zane Khan is your front two. It's Mercedes, Ford, and the Aston Martin of Nessov. What can he do? Ballas Pala's already up 5 places in 9th place. And where is that of Joff? Well, he's lost one. He's down into 12th, so he's still got work to do. But this field will be very, very close. I think the slipstreams will be huge around here because of how close this field will be.
Yeah, I really want to know what happened there to Marcel Marox. I mean, down to 5th position there, coming into the second turn there in international horseshoes. So very unfortunate for him. He has a bit of a replay to see what happened. So you can see he's on the outside line, Gregory Hooverson on the inside. And there it comes, a little bit of a correction, 2 corrections actually. And just those 2 corrections, especially at such a compressed and concertina state of our grid, he literally loses every single thing he's tried to make up even. Alongside Alexei Nesov now, who's going to be trying to get past the driver, the Merc of Aaron's, I believe Joe Manzoli also made a bit of an error there, so he falls back. But here we have Mr. Alexei Nesov, the leading champion in season number 1, who unfortunately dropped off due to availability circumstances, is here again to try and prove his worth. On the backside now of the Hungarian driver, diving up on the inside. What an aggressive move he goes. The number 69 moves up towards Aleja Fernandez, and what a great overtake there from Alexei Nesov.
Just so much confidence on the brakes there from Nesov into turn 1. He was not really close going into turn 1 there to Marcos, but he managed to get the move done, and Nesov showing his skills. He has the biggest I rating now on the grid. It was Pedersen last week with 10,000. It's 11,000 for Nesov, so he's got the most I rating on the grid. So the top workload, it is the top 0.5%, we're being told, of I rating drivers throughout this whole platform. As we're down with one of the golden pigeons, and that is Zohair Ahmed, who has just lost out of position there to one of the Mercedes-Benz drivers. That is Ty Dunnett just ahead of him as Ty looks up the inside, a bit of contact with the car in front of Dunnett. That was Paul Nye, who saves it pretty well, but that does not help Zohair Ahmed try and get through. He's now underneath that of Paul Nye, coming through the oval, the first part of the banking, and he'll manage to be in that slipstream of Dunnett as they come towards the Le Mans chicane. But look at this, 2 abreast. 2 rows of 2 abreast into the Le Mans chicane. How is this all going to work out? Who's going to be the last of the better of the late breakers? They all try to break as late as they dare and go single file through the Le Mans chicane.
Oh, Joe Manzoli's off.
Joe
Manzoli's off. Yeah, Joe Manzoli's off.
Yeah.
Yeah, another driver as well. You see it on your live timings tower when it comes up on the left, but Joe Manzoli has completely lost it on the exit of Le Mans chicane over there. You saw him on the left-hand side with the green Mercedes, and my goodness, I'm not too sure what happened there. He lost it well before that pack that we saw watching. I mean, that's a complete wreck of the car, and there it is, coming out of the Le Mans chicane, just loses it. And he actually, I think that was a bit of a netcode collection there with that Porsche. That Porsche looks unscathed, but he's lost his front and rear bumper, so all the downforce the Mercedes gets is completely out, and there he loses it again as well. So very unfortunate there for the driver. And I mean, one of the things again, there's Nessov still up in 4th. I mean, it's still a great move from him. One thing you'll see with the Pro Grid on the live timings tower when it pops on the left, it's all just orange figures in between all these drivers. There is absolutely no gap in between them whatsoever. And there you can see it. It's just orange on the left side of your screen. It just shows everybody is within 5/10 of each other. Unfortunately, Dunnett has lost a bit of a gap there to Mike O'Dell in 14th, and he's going to have to try and carry up a bit more.
I think Joff clipped the back as well of Manzoli. And that's where the rear bumper popped off. So Joff may have just caught a bit of front-end damage on his Corvette. We'll see what happens to Joff. He's still 11th place, but like Tristan just said, the orange is glowing bright on that timing tower. Nessov now, can he gain on the top 3? 1.5 behind. He's got pace, but let's see if Nessov can gain that gap back. He's got a train of cars behind him, so he can use the slipstream of the cars behind to try and claw his way. Unlike what we saw earlier on in the first race with the Porsches, who couldn't get onto the front pack, Nessov here has got cars to use to get onto that front pack, and there is Marcos just pushing him along nearly as they come through the final banking towards turn number 1. I'm going to sneeze, apologies, 2 seconds.
Oh, it happens to everybody. It happened to me earlier as well. Thankfully, I was off mic. I haven't been caught yet with the sneeze curse while live on mic, unfortunately. I guess what pro racing does, you gotta take a breather sometimes. But Mr. Fernandez up in 7th position. He's still chasing on the backside of Zurich up in 6th position. Pala is trying his luck. He's up in 8th position. The other Hungarian driver trying to make his way up to Morocco's up ahead. It seems like it's a bit of team play between the two of them. Exact same livery between the Ford Mustangs, and it is indeed. It's the CZ Esports team. Obviously, they've lost out with David Toth, who is no longer here, but Alice Pala has gained that teammate of Morocco, who's also doing incredibly well. Here he goes, up on the inside line of Fernandez, and he's made it work. Great move there for Alice Pala, and moves up into 7th, chasing onto the back of Zurich now, who's just in between the two Hungarian drivers. We can see we've seen what Hungarian bullying looks like. Unfortunately, Greg Hooverson is traumatized by it up in first. If you watch season 1 of Foxxtecca, you'll know what that was. If you don't know what it is, I'd say go watch the first few races of season number 1 and then come back and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Not just the first few, the last few as well. That was absolutely fantastic towards the end of the season. Nessov may feel the Hungarian battles as well, because he was a part of it as well at the early part of the season. This Anders, though, lost out to Lenaway, and he's trying to fight back on him. Ray just behind him. Joff in 11th place still, so still not gained or lost a position as Grabowski moves up into 21st. King moves up into 17th place now. And this is the difference, isn't it, between the AMs and the pros? Look at how close everybody is. This is what we're going to get for the hour. Here is Leo Dragotta. Then coming on the back of it says Joff, but oh no, it is Joff. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong car. Joff is right underneath the Porsche. Apologies to Dragotta. Just watching Joff just try and get past Ray, and there's Dragotta got a bit of front end damage on his Ford Mustang. That bonnet just looks a little dint.
It does.
Oh, Joff dropped the rear. Joff has gone around at turn 1. He's lost the rear of the car. And Joff has tumbled down the order. He's pulled off the circuit to get out of everybody's way. As he nearly reverses back into everybody's way. And Joff will get going, but he is down in 27th place. And the championship leader did not need that.
I think Joff's got to quickly get Alex Rosell on the hot dial to ask him for a couple of tips on how to pull it back from the backside all the way up to the front. But this is just an over rotation issue there. The Corvette, the mid engine, just completely losing it, and Dragotta completely avoiding that incident as well. How close was this reverse? I think from our angle it might have been a bit dramatic. Okay, it was close. He he was parked up on the yellow curb. He almost got a bit of a club on the backside there, and that would have been a lot worse than what it was. Thankfully, no contact against any of the walls there for Joff, but down to 27th position. The championship leader is not going to be too happy about that one, and he's going to have to try and fight all the way back up. Thankfully, it's still early on in this race, but still no easy feat whatsoever. Here's Mr. Nesov still fighting. He has managed to keep Marox a little bit further behind, but he is losing ground. You can see behind Zurich and Pella both catching up in the background there. So the number 69 Aston Martin does have to start watching out. Here comes the slip and the bump drop from the Mustang behind him, coming towards that start-finish straight. And you better hope he doesn't try and make that dive on you, Nesov, because you did it to him a couple laps back. So we'll have to see who's going to take the championship. Who's going to take the lead into turn number 1? Is Nesov going to defend, or is he going to just give the position? No, he's not. He will defend, and the train remains the same. 4th position for Nesov. Khan has also done an incredible job. I've got to say to you guys, Khan is really holding his feet up there in 3rd.
He is indeed, and I tell you what, Alexei Nesov has so much more confidence on his braking in towards turn 1. He opened up a bit of a gap to Markov there. But here we go, Zane Khan is... Sorry, my producers just made me giggle in my ear. Pedersen then in 2nd place. But Shay, great start to this race already.
This is an absolutely great start. I wanted to mention earlier that the amount of pressure that the pro drivers are putting on themselves, it almost creates even more tension when you're watching, because you don't know who's going to fly out or when, because these guys they're all so tight. And then even with their
talking about it,
and how much they push up on each other, this is so much more aggressive than the Pro-Am. So it's nail biting. It's like I said earlier, some of these drivers are creating a movie out here today.
And this is the thing, this pro field is that quick and that close that one mistake like Joff made, you're going to tumble right down the order, aren't you? You're really going to lose a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely so. And yeah, it's just going to continue to scale now towards the end of this race. Obviously, we've just completed 1/10 of this 1 hour race. Sorry, no, it's not 100 minutes long. It's 60 minutes long. We've finished a 6 of this race so far. And so it's going to be a continuous push here for Halsband down in 19th position. Here's Dragota. He's flying behind with Ray just a bit further. That's Malik Ray, who's actually trying to find his way around in the Porsche. It's the Porsche contesting the Mustang. And completely different engine module, completely different positioning as well. And that Porsche is 100% relying on that slipstream to stay behind Dragota. Obviously, much more top speed on that Mustang. But look at the rotation of the Porsche. He's almost alongside Dragota now, coming through that international horseshoe. Is it possibly going to be a dive up in the inside? Jones moves ahead of Hasselblad. And Joff moves up into 24th. Robertson loses a place. Wetz moves up into 20th. And Nia will try and fight him in 20th and 21st. It's switchback galore down there, as we can see them continuously switching between the two. And this is a great amount of racing between the two of them as they continue to progress around the circuit. And still for Halsband, 9th position, he's managed to keep it up in front, but he's still chasing onto the backside of Jones and Grabowski up ahead. So he's going to have to try and keep that focus, because Nia and Wetz are very imminent behind him, just ever so behind.
Yeah, and they're going to have a quick Joff, who's going to be frustrated with his spin earlier on, gaining onto the back of that train as well. So they're going to have to be cautious of Joff coming through the pack at the moment. But at the minute, it is Hooverson from Pedersen from Korn, your top 3. Nesov falling behind them. So even though he's got that slipstream, that push from Marcos behind, they're not able to close in on the leading 3 of this race. Korn's dropped off the back of these front 2 a little bit, and you're just seeing that of Pedersen just being smart on the back of Hooverson here to not get past him too early and give up that slipstream. But we'll see what happens as this race goes on. Here's Marcel Marcos. I'd like to stay on Marcos a second, because look at the braking of Nesov in towards turn 1. It is absolutely phenomenal how much more confidence he's got in that Aston Martin on the brakes than the drivers behind him. Look at how close Marcos is now, and then coming into turn 1, look at that gap just open. He's just got so much more confidence as Ballas Pala has gone up the inside of Zurich then, and that is Ballas Pala now up into 6th place. He's made the move at turn 1, but Nesov in that Aston Martin, so much more confidence on the brakes into the first corner.
I would just like to throw in a quick honorable mention for both Pala and Maroque's livery. Those are some of the nicest Mustangs I've seen on track.
Yeah, they're copying it a bit from last year's liveries. Obviously, last year it was on the McLaren. This year they had the freedom of choice to pick whichever car they wanted, but they've replicated it. And I've got to say, those flowers and just the details of the Hungarian flag really do blend in well to what they're you know where they're positioned and how much they support their country as well, which is always a great thing to see. But this is where it gets dangerous. It's two Hungarians next to each other. Myself and Matthew have seen this turn out, so let's see what unfortunately happens there to the drivers up in front there. Oh, there's a driver off. That's a Mustang. That's Jones, who's fallen off the track, unfortunately. Looks like he spun just coming into the International Horseshoe. He has Ackles, who's going to just try and catch up to him now. So Gabriel Jones, the Potato Lad team, unfortunately losing it through the International Horseshoe there, the number 777. And we'll probably try and get a bit of a replay there, but I'm assuming it's just going to be a bit of a rear end grip loss and causing that Mustang to go around in circles. Here's your replay of Mr. Jones, and I think it might be the exact case, possibly just a bit of a braking error for Gabriel Jones. So into the braking zone, still too hard on the brakes. And no, actually it's not. It's contact from one of the golden peacocks, and he knocks him straight off of the track there. Very unfortunate for Gabriel Jones. Thankfully, he can continue pushing around track. Not too much damage either.
If you are a regular viewer of the League by Foxxtecca, that joke will never get old, renaming the Golden Falcons into a different bird. But Joff was on the back of that train as well after that incident. So Joff is now in that slipstream ahead, and he's in that long train. We're kind of almost in a DRS train from Formula One, aren't we, where the drivers are just not... it's not that they're not able to pass each other, it's that they don't want to pass each other at the moment because it's too early to give up their slipstream in this race at the moment. But look at this long line of GT3 cars roaring around this Daytona International Circuit as here goes... is that Cork looking up the inside of Rosell? It is indeed a bit of hip and shoulder. Both get into a bit of a slide. And Joff, who maybe thought about sneaking through the middle, cleverly backs out of that one. He's going to get past that of Court and now slips in between the pair of them. And he's on the back of Nye himself coming into the Western Horseshoe. Joff, wide line, going to try and turn it in. Got to keep it wider though because Robertson just stuck a nose in with a bit of a late break in. And Joff now is back up into 22nd place, and that's Rosell going. No, sorry, that is Nye going a little bit wide. It's Rosell who Joff is trying to chase down. He's spot for choice with a bit of slipstream out there now.
Yeah, you can actually choose whichever path he wants to take. Yeah, the high line or the low line, whichever's going to work best. But he's clearly picked, and he's going to try and sneak in past that Mercedes. He's going to lose 2 positions now due to having no slip. And so Joff moves up into 21st. Can he move up into 22nd, though, with a courageous dive into Le Mans chicane? No, he does not. Oh, it's Rosell. And indeed, it is going to be a move up there for Joff. Rosell loses it on the entrance to the Le Mans chicane, and that is a very unfortunate entry there, just clipping the curb a bit too hard. And the back wheel's not corresponding to that throttle pedal, unfortunately. And so Joff moves up into 20th position now. Here's the replay. AJ Rosell. And brilliant camera work from our producer to grab this shot. I mean, just coming a little bit too wide into that line. And, that is a massive bump from Rosell. The front end is, it's not looking good, I've got to say.
No, that's not looking good. Steering's just slightly off. Not too bad, actually, that, to be fair. I was expecting that to be more off than what it is. But Rosell will hopefully keep going in this race. I imagine he'll probably come into the pit lane, but we'll see then. So Joff now up into P20. This is Nesov, who has got past Marcos, and the pole sitter has just dropped a back off of Pala a little bit. So he'll still be getting the slipstream, but he's dropped off the back. Wonder what has happened there, because Nesov and Pala have pulled away from Marcos, and here comes Pedersen on the back of Hooverson once again. And these two have been this close for 16 minutes and 54 seconds. And similar to the first race, they're just not looking. Pedersen does not want to give up that slipstream to Hooverson and possibly cause an incident.
Yeah, possibly so. But here's Mr. Zane Khan, who's also doing an incredible job in third. 1.3 seconds away from the podium sitters over there, first and second for Hooverson and Pedersen. But, I mean, we've got to talk about his improvement. I mean, Zane Khan, in season number 1 at Foxxtecca, I'm not too sure if the McLaren just wasn't too much of his driving style, but he was, often maybe a mid-pack driver finishing somewhere in the mid-pack. Here he is in third, and he's not even losing it to Nesov. I mean, Nesov is slowly catching, but it's not a drastic catch in terms of Khan being in the incorrect position. He's definitely where he's supposed to be, as Ahmad gets ahead of Dunnett, and it's a bit of switching. Herschel gets ahead of Robertson a bit further down as well. But he's just got to keep on pushing here and possibly try and reduce that gap as Hooverson and Pedersen keep on fighting. There might be a bit of a chance. He has lots of contention here going into turn number 1. Dunnett is watching it all unfold in front. It's Grabowski to Ahmad and King. just up in front of him, all trying to navigate through the international horseshoe, and they all tuck into one little row. It is still King leading. Just behind, Grabowski gets a bit of a better exit though, and King does go wide. We're going to have to see who's going to take the defensive line and the offensive line coming into the next corner to progress further on into the circuit. But Dennis Grabowski for the Altitude Free Motorsports team in 15th position is trying to navigate around in his Aston Martin.
Yeah, he is indeed, and a lovely looking Aston Martin, if I do say so myself. That's quite nice, the blue and yellow on that car. And yeah, Grabowski trying to move up. He's up 19 places in this race already, possibly the biggest climber in this race. Indeed he is. Torchio hasn't taken to the start, and we did lose Ivanov early on in this race. Manzoli has kept going, which is good to see after his earlier incident. But yeah, what a little battle we are seeing between these two here. Here is Lucas Sosa down in 29th on the back of Ackles, the Canadian driver. And this is going to be an interesting fight. We're being told that he potentially was livery of the season last year. I can't honestly remember. Oh, our choice. I can't remember now.
I got to Sousa's livery last season was that like that super menacing green outline Tron looking McLaren, and I got to say it was probably one of my picks for the season. There were loads of Foxxtecca liveries as well that really played in that contention. I remember Kingston Mullings had that like chromatic McLaren, which was really nice as well. So I mean, we're spoiled for choice here, I've got to say, and sometimes that's a good thing, but we're suffering from success here, guys. It's very difficult to pick a livery, and I've got to say, thankfully, it's not purely up to us, but we get to put in our vote here or there, but it's going to take some time for us to fully confirm which livery we pick as the best.
We've still got to try and remember that how many liveries there are on the grid this year. We've got to try and remember who's who and which livery we like the best, because it's a tough going out there this season with the amount of cars we've got on the grid. But yeah, good choice, good style of cars out there this season. Great to see them all on the other cars as well, not just the McLarens anymore. Just great to see them all looking superb and beautiful on every single car. As that is Kyle Robertson just having a look on Herschel without making a move. Court and Nye just further in front of them. Russell Soto's had a bad start to his race. He's dropped down a couple of places, noting him in 12th place on the standings. But yeah, Kyle Robertson coming through the left-hander onto the oval once again in that slipstream of Herschel just ahead. And it's been a pretty good start to this race. 20 minutes into it, Shay. And yeah, it's all calm at the moment. I've got a feeling this race is going to be one of them that's nice and calm at the beginning. It could turn into a bit of chaos at the end.
Knowing how much these pro drivers really, really want to go for the win, they're pros. They're a little bit more hungry for it, especially being that they're higher skilled. I think that a lot of them have it in them to be smart and maybe conserve a lot of their more ballsy, I guess I'll say, driving for when the race is nearing its end. They really want to get those moments that matter. They don't want to, put it all out first right now so everyone can see what they've got and then try to find a way around it. As you know, this racing thing it's a complete mental game from start to finish.
It is indeed.
100%.
Inside of Holzband there, and Joff gets through up into P18. We've also had a change for the lead. Hooverson has dropped behind Pedersen now, so they change for the lead, and Nesov is just slowly dipping under a second towards Zane Khan, so maybe being able to get a bit of slipstream from Zane Khan in front. We'll try and bring a replay of the overtake for the change in the lead of this race. Let's see what's going to happen here. So Pedersen in the slipstream of Hooverson, coming towards the tri-oval section of the circuit. I think he's just going to, Hooverson just dips it out wide. Pedersen up the inside. A little later on the race, did he touch the wall there? Gee, my producer says he just skimmed the wall. So Hooverson just getting a little too close to the outside, and that's going to allow the Swedish driver up. And I don't think he's Swedish, is he? Is he? No, he's Danish.
Yeah, I was just looking at that as well, because he's got a Danish flag, obviously, on his live timings tower registry, but I see on his winglets of his spoiler there, he's got the Swedish flag. So I'm not too sure whichever one he is, but obviously they're both in the general vicinity of each other.
Nordic driver.
Exactly, there we go, Nordic driver. That's a good one. But one thing we also got to again mention, before we continue, we got to thank all the amazing sponsors here for the league by Foxxtecca. We obviously got the African American Automotive Association that's here to provide those opportunities. to those younger guys, especially coming into the racing scene. We've also got Dakins Designs. I've got the name now for all of you guys. Dakins Designs for bringing all of the, well, not all, but most of the liveries out on track here for those who might not possibly have the skills or the contacts to design some of these liveries.
Oh my
Dakins Design has come in, or it's a 3-long train of he has become in, but Roasted Records is also here. I believe Chris Wetz is here. He's a part of the Roasted Records team, so he's got some fuel in the back there. A little bit of an unfair advantage, but it's okay. We'll slip it under the carpet. But it's always just great to see the sponsorships coming through. We mentioned it in the AND, but we've got to mention in the Pro as well. It is so important to have those sponsorship and to continue driving the Foxxtecca League forwards. And I mean, yeah, we got to say, I mean, look at what it's doing at the racing. I mean, almost 3 wide there coming onto turn number 1.
Yeah, and it was bumper to bumper to bumper going into turn 1 there as well. They was all towing each other down the start straight. Here is Lucas Souza with Jones just going up the inside through the dogleg. Can Souza keep it there for the Western Horseshoe? No, he cannot. Jones just a little wide. Does that invite Souza through? No, it doesn't. So Jones manages to get that place from Souza then. Nesov in the slipstream now, right under the rear wing of Zane Khan. So Nesov now feeling the benefits of that, but Khan gets himself a slowdown, stays to the high line. Nesov got caught out by that a little bit. Ballas Pala just giving him a tap on the rear to let him know he's there if he didn't already. And now Ballas Pala going to try and tuck underneath as he coming towards the Le Mans chicane, still pushing Nesov pretty much towards the Le Mans chicane. No, sorry, this is towards the tripart of the oval, isn't it? This is coming down in towards turn 1. Will Nesov, we've seen him, extend his lead, or his gap, should I say, going into turn 1, and Pala a bit more wise to it than Marcos earlier on, but Marcos back on the rear of these two. Zane Khan now down to 6th place. He'll be disappointed with that after such a good start to this race. Now Nesov, no slipstream, maybe from Ivanov in front, but that depends if the lapped car gets out the way or not, I suppose, for Nesov to feel a bit of benefit on that slipstream. The leaders checking out, though, as we saw in race 1. The front 2 just opening that gap up 5 seconds nearly.
Yeah, it's going to be a great push for Nesov if he does want to try and contest further up that podium. Obviously, he does have the final spot currently, but obviously for Nesov, we know what kind of driver he is. He's insanely good at this game, at the simulation, and from what we saw last season, he's here to try and prove himself again. And so that 5-second gap is not for him to be like, this is going to be a bit of a difficult one. It's more of a challenge, and he loves a challenge. So 4.9 seconds is going to be a long chase for him, but I think he's got it in the tank to try and do it. It's also, remember, we got to try and incorporate the pit stop strategy that's going to come in, that the drivers are going to have to do, and that's coming up in the next 5 or so minutes. So keep your eyes peeled for those pit stop markers on the left side of your timings tower. When a driver comes in, you'll see it on the right side of their name. The word pit lane or pit will come up on the side, and you'll obviously see them drop down that leaderboard slightly. So keep your eye peeled for that. There'll be some undercuts and some overcuts as well, and so that's going to play into the strategy. But Nesov, this is his catch-up game now.
Yeah, this is his catch-up game, and it's going to be interesting. He won Spa first race of the season last year by saving fuel and overcut a few of the drivers. So is he doing the same thing here maybe? Is that why the gap is quite large? Has he been just saving fuel a little bit? We'll wait and see. Ballas Pala may have been in behind, so we'll see what happens strategy-wise when we come around to them pit stops. But at the moment, Fernandez has just got past Leo Dragotta for 9th and 10th place. Dragotta's back ahead there, so that's further down the pack. At the moment, there they are. There is Leo Dragotta ahead of Fernandez. So, good job from Dragotta. Moves up into 9th place in this race. Let's see what happens, though, as this race starts to develop and move on. Morkos has actually passed Pala during that one. So, Morkos back ahead of Pala. Maybe the Hungarian's just changing drivers a moment just to see if the other one can attack the back of Nesov a little bit more than Ballas Pala in front. So, let's see what happens in this train of cars. They've still got Zane Khan on the back of them as well. So, Zane Khan here can still capitalise with a bit of slipstream, and he can just make himself a little bit of a nuisance to the cars in front by just, trying to look for an overtake here or there.
Yeah, it's going to... I think we're back. I think it's all good. We just had we're all good. Okay, cool. We keep on pushing on. Yeah, I was going to say, for the likes of Nesov, if he does let Marox pass, or if Marox does get past, he's going to have a little bit of deja vu. He's going to see a white car in front with an Hungarian strip and a white car in front behind him with a Hungarian strip. And so he's going to be looking back to season number 1, and that'll definitely scare him. I mean, I think it'll scare anyone, especially with all those flowers. I mean, you got to think, it's such a peaceful livery. It's definitely not peaceful when the drivers like these are behind the wheel, and they're currently pushing on very strong behind the likes of Nesov. Yeah, our producer's just saying it's actually funeral flowers. It's the end of your race when these two bunch up around you. Now imagine there was more of them. They got to extend the CZ Esports gang. Imagine there was 5 of them here. That would be a bit of a takeover for them. But Nesov is currently keeping them at bay, and the 2 Hungarians are actually in a bit of a sandwich themselves with Nesov and Khan just a little bit further behind. And Khan again just proving his improvement. He's not falling off of this this runaway pack over here. He's definitely staying glued on the back. But here comes Joff for a pit, and I gotta say, Matthew, I think we're calling this a bit early again. This is 28 minutes into the race.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Tristan. I think that's a little early for Joff. We'll see what he can do, though. Maybe he's got a bit of damage in his carrying, so he's hoping for a bit of a longer pit stop, possibly, just to get him longer.
I would like to maybe introduce another element of pit stops, which is momentum. And I say that because we're watching these guys do consistent laps around the track, but what happens once they slow down and maybe their heart rate and their thinking speed and what's required of them, will that change after a pit stop?
No, for the AMs, maybe on certain drivers, but these pros will still be switched on and ready to go, I think, through their pit stops. They won't switch off in that couple of seconds there in the pits. They'll be fully ready to go, as Fernandez there nearly just turned in on Dragota a little bit on the oval, and they managed not to collect each other. And Fernandez still in that slipstream now, pushing Dragota along as they head down towards the Le Mans chicane, and backs brakes a little bit earlier than Dragota as they come through it now. But no, the pro drivers will be fully switched on, ready to go. They may just take a quick sip of water or something on board, have a quick sip of a drink while they're in the pit lane, but they'll be fully focused and know what they've got to do, and they can't really afford to switch off, because that's where you see mistakes happen.
Yeah, I mean, additionally to that, I think the only thing that really does drop in the pit lane is a little bit of the tire temps. It's not going to drop gradually, though, especially if they're on changing tires. And obviously in the iRacing simulation, tires, in any case, have got tire warmers on. So even if they do, it's not going to be that drastic of a change. So, but here we go. The 30-minute mark starts. Soto gets a drive-through for speeding into the pit lane, I believe. And that's going to be an unfortunate one for him. And it's a bit of a race runner. But there we see our mass exodus happening over there. It is oh, there's a driver off as well. Not too sure who that is, but lots and lots of drivers now coming in to serve those pit stops. I did mention it to you to see the right-hand side. You can see the pit markers, and obviously all the red on the screen as a couple of the drivers who decide to go for the overcut move up on that track positioning. So Souza and Brown move up. They decide not to come in just yet, and Nikolai Peterson and Hooverson also have stayed out. So let's see, do they come in together? Do one of them come in earlier? Do we maybe see an undercut-overcut strategy between the two? Only time's going to tell, but they are on that back stretch going towards turn number 1. And the dip in towards the pit lane, here it starts. Is it going to be any of these drivers coming in to serve? Or unless I'm mistaken, this might actually be coming into the Le Mans chicane. If I'm not mistaken, indeed it is. It's Le Mans chicane, so the pit box is coming up shortly. Is it going to be a dive for Peterson? Is it going to be a dive for Hooverson? Or are they both going to stay out collectively? That's going to really play into who takes the race win. It's also the same here for Nesov, Marox, and Pala. A little bit further behind. The Hungarian crew are probably going to go in together to try and keep their stride. But for the top 2, I'm not seeing anyone jump into the pit lane as of yet. Maybe I can see the dive, and here comes Peterson. And no, never mind. This is both are actually coming into the pit lane. So, and all 4, all 5, all 6, all 7 come into the pit lane. So everybody pulling the exact same strategy.
Yeah, Zane Khan also in, and I assume we're going to see King dropping into the pit lane as well. So the 30-minute mark has hit, and they've all decided now is the time to pit. So this will be where we see Joff maybe gain a couple of places in this race. He's down in 20th place. He was 18th when he pitted. And let's see who gets the better pit stops to come out the pits here. Has Hooverson been able to jump Pedersen in that pit stop? Then we'll see when it comes up onto pit exit. Here comes Joff coming round to the Le Mans chicane now. And you know when they're leaving the pits because the pit marker will go green like Pedersen's has there. And he stays ahead of Hooverson. Pala has jumped Nesov. So Pala and has Morkoz jumped Nesov in the pits. They both have. They've both jumped Alexei Nesov in the pit lane. So Alexei Nesov here has lost 2 places in his pit stop and has got Corbin Lenway on the back of him. So Nesov has lost a big amount of time.
I wonder what happened there to Nesov. I mean, it looks like Pala and Morok's completely different entry and exit speeds. And so possibly Nesov trying to avoid any form of penalty, slowed down quite aggressively coming into that pit box. And Pala and Morok's might be a bit more experienced with the Daytona pit entry. has dove into that pit lane, clicked the pit speed limiter exactly at the mark, and fortunately no penalties for them. And look what it's done. It's definitely improved their overall position. Both of them have moved ahead of Nesov, and I've got to say for Nesov, it is a very, very difficult task now to get ahead of these two. They are going to play a bit of a team game. Never mind, I say it. He's side by side with Marox, who makes an error on the outside there of the Western dog shoe.
Yeah, he's a horseshoe. He's
horseshoe.
Tristan does mispronunciate things at times. See, I wasn't lying. Yeah, he had a bit of a snap, didn't he, coming through onto the oval, and that's allowed Nesov through. Nesov, can he get into that slipstream of Pala? That's got what he needs in this race to stay on the back of Pala in that slipstream. Nesov has been so much better on the brakes than the cars around him. So maybe he could gain a bit of speed. Marox here is under pressure now from Corbin Lenaway in 6th place. So Lenaway looking to try and take another place off Marox with Zurich just behind him. There you can see Marox and Lenaway. And look at that Ford Mustang really pull on Nesov through that final part of the oval. He's really got onto the back of him. And now Lenaway looks to the outside line of the two in front of him. Nesov, though, we have seen is so much better on the brakes. He's now within that slipstream of Pala in front, and look at how he closes on Pala, almost 0.2 of a second under the braking. That opens back up a small amount, maybe a 1/10 and a half Nesov's gain there on the brake. So he is right in this game with Pala just in front of him. 6 seconds they've got to the leaders, so this is a fight for the podium between these four.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, it's great to see a fight for the podium, especially 35 minutes into the race. You can see the left-hand side of your screen, those orange numbers are slowly starting to disappear, and we're seeing more white numbers appear. That shows that drivers are over a second of a distance between each other. Yellow is obviously between 5/10 and 1 second, so you can see that with Kyle Robertson and Wets. But for most of the drivers, we're seeing a bit of a gap form. Khan is obviously 5 seconds behind Zurich, and Fernandez behind Khan, about 3.6 seconds. So we're seeing a little bit of gapping happening around the track over here. You can probably see it on the track map if it does pop up. But I'm not too sure if it will pop up. We've got a bit of sponsors up on the top right, making sure that they're very visible to all of you guys. So I don't think the track map will be able to pop up in the top right. But still, you can see it clearly by the left-hand side in terms of track positioning and just the overall distance between each car. But for the time being, we've still got a bit of a fight. 21st, Herschel is currently chasing. It's actually the fight for 20th with Nye leading that in 20th with Herschel, Cord, Brown, and Rosselli, who are trying to fight it out over there. But Nesov is indeed in that Hungarian sandwich right now, and they might play that strategy to keep him at bay or possibly slow him down. But, you know, it depends, because he is definitely not one of the slowest drivers here. He's definitely able to get past, and we saw what one error can do. Marox obviously making an error there on the exit of the horseshoe, and just lets Nesov by completely. And here comes Nesov on the attack on the inside line of Ballas Pala, way later on the brakes, like Matthew says, and he's just completely owned this field. Up into 3rd position he goes, claiming the two Hungarians like a piece of cake, and moves up into 3rd position.
He's just so much better on the brakes into turn 1, and Pala left that door open, and Nesov isn't going to, you know, sit and wait. He's going to get a move on, and yeah, just so much better on the brakes into turn 1. Lenaway got side by side with Marox coming through turn 1. He's lost out to Zurich though, and now Zurich looking on the back of the Hungarian driver himself. So a couple of fights happening here on the Daytona International Speedway circuit, the road course layout. And Pala, he's now the one who's got to do the work to try and pass Nesov once again. 7.5 seconds behind the leaders. You do feel that this is a fight for the podium, and the podium only for that final 3rd place spot, because the two leaders, barring disaster, are running away with this one. Where is Joff? He's up to 12th place, so he's made a few improvements. Bearing in mind, he was down in the 20s. I think it was 25th or 26th, I think he dropped to after his spin earlier on. So he started to make his way back up the order, but did he potentially pit a lap too early? We'll find out come the end of this race. And Pala has to get this move done before turn 1, because we know that Nesov is so strong through there under braking that Pala's not going to be able to do it there. So he's got to find a way to get alongside Alexei Nesov and just distract him maybe into turn 1.
Speaking of the leaders, I'd like to bring some attention over to Peterson and Hoovesen, who Hoovesen is just hovering between about 0.3 to 0.1 of a second right behind Peterson, and he's been stuck to him for seemingly the whole race since Peterson's got up front.
Yeah, definitely so. And I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to get past Peterson. Obviously, another 10K I rating driver, Hooverson just a little bit further down on 9K I rating. So both of them pretty cool. Pretty cool back banner there as well from Peterson on the backside of his spoiler. It gives a little bit of a motivation to the drivers behind. I got to say, I'm not going to pronounce it out, but you can see it when it appears on screen. Pretty cool for him. So Gregory Hooverson is trying to push on strong. There you can see it right from the back, and I'm believing Gregory Hooverson wants to do exactly that. He wants to get past and get up into that first position again, but it's not going to be an easy job because Peterson is holding that lead like an absolute champion right now and possibly wanting to further extend his gap. And I'm not too sure with finishing first here, and obviously with Joff being down in 12th, it might be a good opportunity for Peterson to move up into that leading spot of the championship, but only time will tell, and we'll only be able to see at the end of this. But as you can see, now on the pressure is Ballast Pala on the backside of Nesov.
But Nesov, he's better on the brakes, and again, look, just opens that gap a little bit more, just half a tenth or so, just through the Le Mans chicane. So under the braking, Nesov has got it done. Pala's got to get alongside Nesov before the braking zone, because you feel that Nesov's going to have him covered by the time they hit the brakes into either the Le Mans chicane or turn one. Pala's got to be alongside. He's got to be alongside. It's the only way he's going to get past in this race, because Nesov at the moment is doing such a good job in this race at the moment on the brakes. This is on board with Pala, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. Just look at how Nesov just creeps forward a little bit. Not too bad from Pala, kind of stuck to him a little bit this time around, but yeah, that's what I mean. Pala's just able to just pull away a little bit more in that braking zone, and Pala, has got to have that overlap on Nesov to get the job done.
Guys, would you just look at the precision that's required for these guys to stay with each other like this? You can't even see out the front of one of those cars when we're looking at the...
Yeah, definitely not. And I mean, it's quite a bit of a mental block as well, especially when it comes to tight braking zones. If you think of it like Monza T1, sometimes when you're sitting right behind another driver, it is actually difficult to know where you're braking. And Monza's more fortunate; it's got lots of braking boards. You get some tracks where there's not even braking boards to certain corners. You've got to use your track marker that you've created for yourself. And sometimes if that track marker is something you drive over, it's a little bit complicated to see where you need to brake. So exactly like our producer says, you need to have multiple brake markers in case something like this happens. Ballast Pala physically cannot see the road in front of him right now. All he sees is blue spoiler and the helmet of a driver in front of him through the back window. And that's going to be his view for the time being if he can't get in front. Nesov has got a 100% clear view up in front of him, and that is going to prove to be advantageous. But Ballast Pala is going to have that speed advantage. This looks to be as close as he's been for the time being. He is right on the backside going onto the back straight over here, and this could possibly be a bit of a change-up. The two Hungarians are right on top of each other now. This is a three-way train going down towards that start-finish line, but we do know Nesov way better on the brakes compared to the two Hungarian drivers behind. You can see it. They're braking slightly earlier. Well, they've actually lifted a little bit and possibly diving up on the inside line, but no, Nesov blocks it off. We can see it. It's a great shot on the back angle here, and just not enough for the two Hungarians behind to do anything in the Ford Mustangs. And actually, Marox drops off a little bit from Pala, and he's under contention now from Zurich, but great holding still from Nesov.
Yeah, great holding from Nesov. And if you think being behind that Aston Martin's bad, imagine being behind the Ford Mustang. That's an even bigger car to try and pick your braking zones out of. So poor Lenaway at the moment, he's got 3 Ford Mustangs blocking every point he needs to do in the braking zone at the moment. But yeah, coming into the Western Horseshoe, Nesov doing a fantastic job at the moment. There you go. Not quite as close as Pala to Nesov, but you can still see how tricky it is for Lenaway here with them 3 Ford Mustangs, huge cars, especially when you're right in the rear bumper of them. And at the moment, we're just at a bit of a stalemate, aren't we? Because Pala just cannot find a moment where he can get alongside Alexei Nesov.
No, definitely not. And he's been struggling for it for a while. And I mean, you can see the battle for third is definitely still under contention. It is orange figures all the way from 3rd down to 7th. As we can see, but unfortunately for Nesov, he's also not catching up to Hooverson. It's an 8.3 second gap. We did mention it was about 5.1 when he took the lead here in terms of this 3-way fight for third, this 5-way fight for third, sorry. But it's just extending, unfortunately. The fighting that he's doing to try and defend from Pala and Marox is just letting Hooverson and Pedersen completely run away with this race, and it's just making it ever so harder for Nesov, especially with the pit stop strategies already being outside the window. But
here we go.
Yeah, they are now alongside. The slipstream is possibly coming in for the two Hungarian drivers on the upside. of the back straight of here, coming towards turn number 1. They're boxing him in like true defensive style, complete boxing here for Nesov. And this is going to be great defensive strategy to keep him at bay. Will Marox be able to get past? It's now going to be Pala who's going to try and keep Nesov at bay. He comes around the outside with the braking, completely different to the Hungarian drivers, but he might lose it now because it's going to be the slipstream for the 2 Hungarian drivers. He does go slightly outside. And what a three-way fight we're seeing here between the 3 drivers.
That was Marox pushing Pala through. That wasn't Pala getting alongside. That was Marox pushing him through on the outside line, down in towards turn number 1. Nesov's now behind Marox. Marox and Nesov. Nesov is off. He's eagerly putting it in the wall. No, he manages to keep hold of it. And Alexei Nesov and Marox. We saw this from the Hungarians last season. We're seeing it again now. Alexei Nesov has possibly got a bit of damage on that car. Steering looks okay to me. Maybe slightly off. But either way, Marox there and Nesov coming together out the Western Horseshoe. But Marox pushed Pala past the Aston Martin.
That's what happens when you get in between 2 hungry Hungarians.
Yep, the hungry Hungarians indeed. And they've that was the scariest thing I've seen. Turn 1, completely boxing the poor Aston Martin. And he literally had nowhere to run but to just hold the brakes and hope that he would survive that corner. So he has the incident with Marox, and it looks like, I mean, Nesov kind of initiated it. He's turned in slightly to Marox. He had the space on the outside line, and Marox kind of just held his line, and then there was just a bit of a bounce back effect there with Nesov just hitting the side of the Mustang. The Mustang obviously weighing a little bit more than that Aston Martin, so it stood firm in its ground. The Aston Martin bounced around a bit. But fortunately, that's kind of where the skill of a 10K iRating shows. I mean, Nesov able to keep that completely out of the wall. He's actually an 11K iRating driver, so he's the highest on grid right now, and he's completely kept it out of the wall there. That just shows the skill and the knowledge of his car to know how to correct it with his wheels. So incredible job there done by Mr. Nesov. Unfortunately, he's lost out for this the battle for third, but he does still have about 15 minutes or so to catch up on this. Ballas Pala has to watch out now from behind from Zurich and Lenaway because Marox has lost out a bit. They've created a bit of the Hungarian sandwich again, but I think Marox is going to be able to get past again if he finds the right gap.
Yeah, possibly so. He's got to try and get past Lenaway and Zurich here. Zurich just trying to interrupt Pala a little bit there. He was having a look around the outside of the International Horseshoe. This is down in 15th place. This is Tyler King on the back of Dunnett, with Halsband just behind him. And, sorry, no, that's Tyler King on the back of Dunnett and Odell, sorry, apologies. Halsband is 8 seconds off the back of these. He's under pressure from Zohair Ahmed, but King, at the moment, just trying to follow the 2 Mercedes-Benz through. A little wide there from Odell coming onto the oval section of the circuit. Joff up into 11th place at the moment, so he's had a good recovery drive. This is Paul Nye, side by side with Court, up the inside through the left-hander. Onto the oval they go, and that should be Paul Nye through. I assume Corty's going to, just tuck into that slipstream now, and now he's going to try and use that extra bit of speed through that hole in the air being punched by the Mercedes-Benz to try and get back ahead of Paul Nye then. So that is for 20th and 21st. Battles happening all up and down the circuit at the moment. And look at this. This is the 2 Hungarians once again. Is that Pala holding the 2 behind him up for more cars, who nearly loses it, makes contact with Lenaway and nearly loses it, manages to keep it out the wall. And is this the Hungarian strategy of Pala just trying to slow these 2 behind him down to help his teammates out? Well, it hasn't worked there. The Kashmir crew and Lenaway forcing Pala onto the grass to also get through. Pala tucks back in behind once more, and the Hungarians have now had a piece of their own medicine.
Yes, there's been some great fighting for third, and I'm so glad it's scaled this way as well. It's such a great battle to see for such a tight spot as well on the podium. And now Pala reclaiming 4th position from Lenaway. But Zurich has pulled ahead of this pack. He's now got a bit of an advantage. And if he can pull away from this while the 3 behind fight, well, he's got a good chance at staying in 3rd position. It's going to be difficult, though. The 2 Hungarians behind and Lenaway all in a bit of a sandwich together. And my goodness, coming to turn number 1 there, that was looking very dire for Marox. He came from a far shot on the right-hand side and almost lost the car, actually. But fortunately for him, again, with the higher iRating and the experience, he was able to save the car and continue to progress around track. Obviously, things have changed for them. They've completely moved around, and Zurich now takes 3rd position. The 3 are starting to bunch again with the slipstream, and as you can see, they slowly start to compress closer towards Ballas Pala. as they come down towards turn number 1. What's it going to be, though? You can see Lenaway getting very close. Unfortunately, Marok's not getting as close as he wants to be, but I don't think it's going to be a overtaking opportunity yet for Lenaway unless he makes some courageous dive, or if Ballas Pala opens the door. We'll see here for the sim races, Impact Sim Sport, Corbin Lenaway in 5th position, and he's trying everything he can. But it's almost contact there on the backside of Pala. As you can see, Marox is working his way around, and he's actually almost alongside now. Lenaway getting slowed down by Pala just ever so slightly, and now side by side between the two coming into the International Horseshoe. Who's it going to be? It is going to be Marcel Marox on the outside line. He actually gets shunted by the Mercedes. So really, like Matthew mentioned, the Hungarians getting a bit of their own medicine here.
Yeah, indeed they are. Dragotta's got that same cons. That's for P8 and 9. So Dragotta up into 8th place. And Nesov nearly within a second. This is a look back at a little earlier on in the lap. I said on the 20-minute mark, you got the feeling this race is kind of the calm before the storm in this one. And yeah, this is absolutely fantastic to see as Aaron Zurich then just coming towards the outside line of Pala. And Pala just a little slow on the exit. I think this is a lap earlier than what we're hoping to show you. As this is Zurich. Yeah, this was Zurich trying to go around the outside where it didn't work. And yeah, we'll hopefully get the lap later. I believe this is it. Here we go. So this is the lap later. They're all in a train. Look at Marox on the outside. Just try and come through a little bit late. He gets a tap from the Mercedes. Just throws him offline. Manages to hold on to it well. And Pala just... It's definitely that little Hungarian tactic we saw last season between Toth and Pala playing out again. Pala just trying to help his buddy get through. Runs a little deep, though, at the International Horseshoe. And that allowed one. And Lenaway thought, well, you're dishing it out. I'm going to give you some back. And he nudges Pala off the circuit.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, Pala thankfully, again, managed to hold that car. He did touch the grass slightly, but not enough for him to lose it whatsoever. So thankfully, he didn't lose out there. That would have been bad if Pala unfortunately lost the car. But still chasing on to the backside now of Zurich up in 4th position. We are heading into the final 10 minutes of this race. This is the moment where drivers need to shine. And those orange numbers need to become action points. Khan needs to try and get ahead of Dragoda. Zurich needs to try and catch up a bit if he can. He's not going to be able to, though. Pala needs to try and get ahead of Zurich. And Lenaway and Marox a bit further behind. Fernandez gets ahead of Khan now through this this battle for 10th. And he's got a bit of like a Portuguese-style livery, I've got to say. It's the Portuguese colours, but obviously he's not from Portugal. So a bit of an odd one, but still, like you mentioned, quite a nice livery split there coming from him. But Dragotta just up a little bit further in front, definitely rocking some of the American colors on his car. But 7 spots up for Dragotta, and that's a great move. I don't think we can get the top movers up in the bottom left, but I think we've got quite a lot. We've got Corbin Lenaway up in 5th. He's 11 spots up. Bella's up 10 positions in 4th. And I think the biggest one is Kyle Robertson, 17 positions gained in this race. And so he's doing a phenomenal job down in 18th. Unfortunately, the biggest loss will be Joe Manzoli, who we saw have a bit of an accident all the way at the start of this race. He's down in 30th, and he is not finishing this race whatsoever. So unfortunate to see that. But with this last 9 minutes, this is the time for the drivers to shine.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Ballas Pala on the back of Zurich once again, just to try and maybe make that move into turn 1. Lenaway still in that slipstream, but a little bit further back. So is Marox in this race. And here comes Ballas Pala in towards turn number 1 on the back of Zurich then, just trying to disturb him in the braking zone of turn 1. No, he can't, and backs out of that one just with an early lift. And Zurich will keep hold of P3 for the time being. The leaders also within a couple of tenths of each other. We'll try and get a bit of them towards the end of this race. But this 4-way fight for 3rd place is absolutely fantastic. Nesov not being able to capitalise on this due to the slipstreams of the cars in front being able to pull away from him. He's on his own, so he's not been able to come on to the back of these 4 ahead of him, who he was having a good hard scrap with a little earlier on. Zane Khan, just you kind of feel he's dropped off a little bit as this race has gone on. He's just had such a good start. He's now down in 10th. As we'll see on the straight in a moment. We've just been told by our producer that his steering is just slightly off. Yeah, looks quite all right to me. Looks quite all right to me. Yeah, Nesov's doing all right. He's got no slipstream, and I think that's just his problem at the moment. But back to the 4 ahead of him. All the orange on the timing tower. And here comes Lenaway on Pala, Marox on Lenaway, and Pala on Zurich. as we go once again to the Le Mans chicane. What can Pala do? Is he going to wait just till after maybe at the Le Mans chicane? Yes, he is indeed. So we are at a bit of a stalemate, but something's going to happen in 7 minutes. You can just feel it.
I was going to say yeah, go for it.
Sorry, but I think that anyone that's currently in between Pala and Marox is in a very dangerous place. I've noticed throughout this entire race that even though these guys have essentially held the positions that they've got, anyone that's come between those two has had a really hard time either getting past them or just running with them. And they've had to employ some aggressive tactics to get them out the way.
Yeah, that's the Hungarian school of driving, the Hungary Lions, the Hungarians. Is it's kind of what they do out on track. Like I mentioned, if you go back and watch season 1, Shay, you'll see much worse than what we've seen yet tonight. It gets quite intense between them and their competitors. But I was going to say, for Nesov, we can't exactly judge too much in terms of his steering angle. There's not many pure straights here at Daytona. I mean, our straights are technically ovals, so we can't really see that straight wheel. But here comes a position move up on the up in front. It's Paul Nye on the backside of court, up towards turn number 1. Who's it going to be? Coming towards it. It's right next to each other. It's a slightly different braking procedure there for Paul Nye. He does brake a little bit earlier and tries to get the undercut going and switch back, but not strong enough to do it. So Court will stay up ahead. A little bit further behind is Herschel, who's also trying to gain in this fight. But here comes Court, and he's still holding off. Nye has been pushed off to the left-hand side, and Herschel is now in the contention to try and attack the other Mercedes. It is indeed the Golden Hornbill trying to chase onto the backside of Court. And what's it going to be for this driver? Sorry, not Court. That's Herschel on the backside of Nye as they continue to go around track. But great fighting, but we've got about 5 or so minutes left. Keep your eyes peeled on those top 10, because I think anything can change in these final dire moments.
I think anything and everything can change in these dire moments. This is Hooverson trying to get on the back of Peterson here then. Towards turn number 1 they go. And Hooverson, is he just biding his time until that last lap to have a real look and opportunity? Yes, he is. Into turn 1 they go. Peterson still leads over that of Hooverson at the moment then. And great race from them two. Them two's put on a great display like the winners in the Anfield. Lenaway having a look on the back of Pala now in towards turn number 1. A little kiss on the rear end. And they both get away scot-free in that one then. So, yeah, not too bad at the moment, is it? To be fair, it's been a great pro race yet again as we head in towards the first B format race of the season. Next time out at Silverstone. 2 races for the AMs, 2 races for the pros. We'll have a bit of a reverse grid for the second race in that one. Look forward. Love a good reverse grid. So that'll be interesting to keep our eyes on there. And it always provided some great drama last season. We'll see what it can do this time out. And Silverstone, again, a bit of an all-round circuit in some ways. So we'll see what the car will be on top through the home of British motorsport. I just feel that Pala's dropped a little bit too far back from Zurich this time around. That he's got a lot of work to do to get onto the back of him once again. With 4 minutes remaining, what's that? We're going to get 2, maybe 3 laps at a push left in this race.
Yeah, those 2 or 3 laps are going to be absolutely dire for these final position changes. Pala's unfortunately dropped off a bit there from Zurich, about 7/10 or so. He definitely needs to make up those couple positions in the next coming laps. But here's Zane Khan on the backside of Rigotta. Is there going to be an overtake coming into the next couple of corners? Doesn't look like it. Coming into that Le Mans chicane. And let's hope there's no errors here from either of the drivers. Fortunately not. A little bit of jumping there on the left-hand side of the Mustang, but it looks like it's managing the curb is a little bit better than what the Mercedes is doing. We obviously saw two cars in the AM division take flight a little bit earlier on tonight. So fortunately, we haven't seen any of that yet in the Pro division. We're seeing lots of scraping on the undertray, though, as the cars try and get around. And that just shows that the downforce is definitely working on these. They're trying to suck as hard as they can onto that embankment on Daytona. But it is literally bumper to bumper here between Zayn Khan and the likes of Dragotta. It's a yellow flag for Marox. He's gotten a slowdown penalty. And what is this going to do for Nesov? He is catching up. Pala gets ahead of Lenaway, actually, as well, into that next corner. And Nesov, it's a black flag for Marox. He's gotten a penalty for not for possible track limits. And that means Nesov will move up towards Lenaway.
Not just Nassov, though. Joff may get into that top 10, provided he has got enough fuel to get to the end. Remember, I think he pitted a lap early. If Joff has got enough fuel to the end, Lenaway, absolute dive bomb up the inside of the left-hander. Has he been able to carry the momentum through on Ballas Pala? He may have just been able to keep the nose there. Pala, though, on that high side, no slipstream. He's going to be losing out a bit of contact between the two again on the oval section. And now Lenaway is nose to nose with that of Ballas Pala at the moment, and Marox is coming through, and he's going to push his teammate in towards the Le Mans chicane, and he's going to push Pala out of trouble from Corbin Lenaway, and the Hungarian driver with a drive-through has helped his teammate out. No end there.
Tonight has been insane. All these teams, all the guys doing all the team racing tonight, they're finding so much positioning. This is some great racing tonight.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, you can just see the team strategies. He literally knocked Pala completely out the way. And I think what our producer said, he's actually not going to serve that penalty. And rather, I think he knows it's kind of his fate is sealed. He's, or maybe he will. No, looks like he's going to stay with it. I think, Lenaway dives up on the inside line and forces a way in. He is not having anything of this Hungarian teamwork. And my goodness, Lenaway is proving to kind of combat the system here that the Hungarians have going on. I think what we were trying to say is that Marox is rather going to stay out and just try and protect his teammate from Lenaway. Because we've only got about one lap or so left, so he's just going to take the 40-second penalty, rather put himself in between Lenaway and Pala, and get the other Hungarian a couple of points up in 4th position. So we'll have to see what happens here. You can see Marox is doing everything he can. He's actually squabbling a little bit to try and get ahead of Lenaway now with that black flag penalty. And my goodness, Lenaway, I mean, Matthew, this guy is literally, he's like the anti-Hungarian right now.
What a shame he hasn't got a camera on his screen, because at the minute I think he'd be driving with the elbows out. At the moment, he is absolutely taking the fight to the Hungarians at the moment. And I tell you what, they've give it out, and now they've got to take it. Corbin Lenaway is on a mission. He needs to get in that slipstream of Ballas Pala, because he's going to be no good defending from Marox there, who nearly drives into the back of Lenaway, and now he does tap the back of Lenaway. Oh, this is unbelievable from Marox, who's got himself... Oh, now Nessov has sent him flying into the wall. Lenaway's got a drive-through penalty for good measure as well. We're on the final lap of the race, because the leaders have started the last lap. Lenaway now gets a track limit infringement through the Le Mans chicane. And I tell you what, Marox there, I'm gonna say it how it is, guys. Whether the people in the chat like me or not, Marox there, that's a disgrace. You cannot be trying to intentionally wreck somebody while you have a drive-through penalty. That needs looking at from the league.
It needs to be looked at, I think, from Lenaway's side, because I don't know if it was a bit of brake checking from Lenaway, because it just looked like. Yeah, it just kind of also looked like Lenaway might have been slowing down slightly to force them to get closer. But obviously, only a replay is going to show that. But I think Marcel Marox has actually completely left the session. He's moved off. I see he completely dropped down to 33rd, not even like dropping gradually off as he returns to pit lane. So he's quite upset with that one, I've got to say. But unfortunately, Lenaway has gotten a black flag as well, which means Nessov, he's already moved up into 5th position. But it means Khan is going to move up to 7th position, and Dragada is going to also move up. So, I mean, completely different change to our top 10. Yeah, Joff is going to get a good points as well. So.
Right, Hooverson needs a good exit. That wasn't the greatest of line from Pedersen on the exit of the Le Mans chicane. Here comes Hooverson on the final lap. We saw it for 7th place in the AM race earlier on. Hooverson in that slipstream, getting closer and closer. And can he get Pedersen at the line? There's a lapped car just in front. He's going to pull to the outside. Will the lapped car be in the way? No, it won't. Here comes Gregory Hooverson towards the line. He's got the overspeed. Another lapped car in the way. And Hooverson wins at the line from Pedersen. What a drive from the Canadian driver, who has been on the receiving end of some Hungarian treatment in the past. But this time around, he takes the race win. Ballas Pala is slow.
Out of fuel?
Is he under-fueled? Well, either way, Nessov's going to take P4. Zurich will get 3rd place. Lenaway's into the pits for his drive-through. I don't think he can serve his drive-through on this lap, so that may not... No, he's taken the checkered flag. There you go. So Lenaway will drop even further down the pack because he came into the pit lane. He should have just carried on going. Dragota 7th. Zane Korn gets 6th after all the entertainment there. And Joff, with Lenaway's penalty, will get a top 10 finish. What an end to the evening's races.
Wow, that was insane.
My goodness.
I 100% completely expect that a couple of those drivers just caught up in some of those incidents towards the end they'd have some words for each other.
What a use of back markers by Hooverson. I mean, he literally pushed Peterson into a line where he had to slow his car down slightly. And I mean, that is just racing class by Hooverson, and great sportsmanship between the two as well. I mean, if you had to see that in a public race, I'm telling you now, Peterson would have absolutely demolished Hooverson just for overtaking him on the outside. But fortunately, he didn't. But here's the replay towards the end of this, and obviously this is quite further behind. This is where Marcel Marox was pushing Ballas Pella. We're going to look at the whole arc. We want to look at the whole storyline to see what exactly has happened here. So they're the two Hungarians have clearly gotten ahead now of Lenaway, and they're now pulling quite far ahead.
I think if we go on board Marox, we'll be able to see if Lenaway did brake check or not going into the Le Mans chicane next lap. I think that'll be the best angle to see if the brake lights come on. But look at Marox here. Like Tristan says, he's just pushing his teammate along. There is no team's championship in this. It is all drivers for themselves. And I'm all for team games and everything, and team strategies. But there has to come a point where you look at this and say, where do you draw the line? Because look at Len. Look, it's just intentional blocking from a driver with a drive-through. It doesn't sit well with me driving like this. I'm not a fan. If there was team points on the line, I'd understand it a little bit more. I still don't think it's acceptable, but I'd understand it a little bit more. But there is no team points in this championship, and this is going to be the angle that tells it all.
I completely understand that as well, because as much as I love seeing these team moves, and there were some really, really smart plays from these guys, it doesn't really serve the race because it's not the team that's winning at the end of it. It's the driver. So at the end of the day, one of these two guys, when it comes down to it, they have to choose to race. They have to choose to race each other.
Yeah, exactly. But here comes the moment we were possibly talking about. Watch those rear brake lights now of Corbin Lenaway. Let's see if it was a brake check or if it was just slipstream, and Marcel Marox possibly just taking a little bit of a grudge out here. So this is coming up towards Le Mans chicane. I believe it happened after the chicane, coming down towards the start-finish line. So there was...
Can we? I'd like to take that back. Just let's take that back.
Can we go back? Yeah, that was a pretty odd one to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. So yeah, here's it going back. It just looked like there was a bit of overslow. Yeah, there was brake lights from Corbin Lenaway. Yeah, there's brake lights. So he's brake checking him. So Corbin Lenaway, there you can see they're off. If you just go forward slightly, you'll see slight illuminate. There it is there. So he brake checks him. Then Marcel Marox has to force his brake hand. And that's exactly where the contact comes. So actually a little bit of unsportsmanship also shown there from Corbin Lenaway.
And then Corbin Lenaway gets the drive-through at this moment of the lap, so he then costs himself even more time. Look, as much as I've said that Marox there, trying to intentionally wreck and trying to intentionally block people, I disagree with it. Corbin Lenaway brake checked him there, and that is just, look, the stewards on this one, I've always said, oh, geez, and this is, when was that?
When was this? I didn't see that happen.
Okay, so that must have been actually before Marox pushed Palla back past Lenaway. So, yeah, look, I think I've always said the stewarding in any league, in any format of racing, in any championship, the stewarding is the hardest thing to do. There's a big discussion to be had about this tonight. And then look at Alexei Nesov here. Now, did Alexei Nesov get caught out because of the fact that them two are on and off their brakes, tapping each other? Did Nesov get caught off with his overspeed of the two in front? I think the stewards have got to have a real hard look at this, and they've got to throw the book at these two drivers here. Marox for trying to intentionally wreck and block. You know, I'd even look at Ballas Palla at times and think, well, hang on a minute. What was you doing in all of this? Because he was out underfueled. He'd have known he was underfueled. And he's also tried to play the game for Marox to gain places. Yeah, look, I like to be a commentator that says it as it is and says it down the middle. I'll be fair to drivers when they've had a good race and done some good overtaking, but at the same time, yeah, there's no place for that at all. Gregory Hooverson is the race winner. What a race winner it was. Right at the line by 17 thousandths of a second from Nikolai Pedersen. Great race from the front two. Aaron Zirik there, he kept himself out of the dramas with the two Hungarians and Lenaway. He got P3. Alexei Nesov is P4 in the end with Ballas Pala. Zane Khan P6. He recovered a few places at the end. Leo Dragota from Leo Fernandez. Malik Ray is P9. Marley Joff manages to recover from that early spin into 10th place. Tyler King from Michael Odell, Zoe Ahmed, Chris Wetz, Ty Dunnett, Paul Nye, Eric Husband, and then Lucas Souza rounds out your top 18.
Yeah, then from the top 18 down, we've got 19th going onwards, and we'll get it for you as it comes down. There's the 21st, the 19th is just a bit up. So there's Kyle Robertson. Corbin Lenaway goes all the way down to 20th position after that drive-through. We then have Andrew Herschel. Kevin Roll will take 22nd, with Cameron Brown in 23rd. AJ Rosselli takes 24th, and Aaron Ackles in 25th. Anthony Cuthbert will take 26th, with Elliot Court 27th. Russell Soto takes 28th, and Lohan Andre Mirazan takes 29th in the Audi, with Tyler Carr down in 30th. 31st, Marcel Marox, after all those battles. 32nd for Gabriel Jones, 33rd for Miles Brown. Cadence Presley, who had the best overtake last week, down in 34th position. Joe Manzoli takes 31st with Dennis Grabowski in 36th. And then I think we just have a few more down there. We've got Javier Sierra and Gabriel Ivanov in 38th. Alessandro Torchio did not take to the grid and finishes in 39th position. But yeah, very interesting race. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, we're not stewards, so we can talk about it here. But this is going to be a very difficult one for the stewards to talk about. I believe we have one driver ready for interviews, and that is Mr. Gregory Hooverson himself, who will pull into the commentary box. Greg, you are live on the League by Foxxtecca, and I've just got to say, man, absolutely incredible move at the final moment there. I mean, just talk us through the whole process.
Yeah, it was pretty good stuff. Thanks for the call. Yeah, well, we did the Daytona 24 on the weekend, so it's kind of just second nature at this point. Nick was also part of Dory Sports by SX, but just with the Alpha One sponsorship for this event. So we're teammates. We've done this many a times. You spend 24 hours doing it together, you get good at it. But yeah, can't really complain. I'd say that at the end of the day, the whole job was just push each other, break the toe, and then figure it out on the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I mean, just talk us through so obviously you mentioned you did the Daytona 24 hours. So did you come into here with practice, or did you kind of just use that as your claimed practice?
No, our setup was very different to this car. To this fixed setup, that's for sure. So it took a little bit of time to figure out how to drive a max wing car at Daytona. Felt pretty sluggish, but whatever. It was a 24-hour race before a Tuesday is good enough, even if the setup was different. It's fine.
Absolutely incredible stuff. And then, I mean, next week we obviously head to Silverstone. It is the first race that will you be using the B format of racing. So you'll have two races next week, with the second being the reverse format for the top 8. Very familiar to what we did in season number 1. How are you feeling for that?
That's good fun. Always fun to have the shake-ups with the grid order from race 1 to race 2. So you get a bit more action and opportunities to make some cool things happen. But yeah, no, we'll see. I'm not a big fan of Silverstone. I'm sure that might rub some people the wrong way, but in a GT car, I think it's no good. But anyways, it'll lead for a good race regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shay, Matthew, anything from your side for Greg?
Yeah, Greg, first of all, I just wanted to say congratulations on the race win. Last week, he struggled in qualifying. He was down the order a little bit, had a great drive through the pack. Tonight, completely different. He was rapid in qualifying, nearly took that pole position. Just talk us through the changes, because obviously this pro field seems very, very tight this season. What changes did you make to your qualifying approach this week?
Well, we got out first, which is always a big key. Like, it's always tough to find space on the track with all these cars. You don't know what everybody's run program is. So you can sometimes be on a push lap and somebody else is doing a cool down or still a warm up. So I'm just going to say it's just getting the clean air and being able to be out front and be the first people to put times on the board. I think that's probably what sets the difference, because last week I was just muddied in the pack. Every lap I had traffic. So yeah, grateful to be able to have a clean run this time, but still a confused that the quali ends right at 10 minutes. But anyways, all good. I can't really complain about second and being P1 after T1.
Can you actually like give us a rundown of like your thought process the entire time leading up to that last moment where you took first? Because that was insane to see.
Well, yeah, like I said, this is kind of second nature doing it like this. Nick and I were in call the whole time talking about life. Yeah, it was all good. It was all good, chilling. Everybody else got stuck on the fuel as well. We looked at each other after the stop and figured a couple of these guys underfueled, so we pushed it to go the extra lap as well, which forced everybody to really check up. So, yeah, that's why you see a couple guys had to really drop back partway through that second stint, because Nick and I were just giggling because we knew we had the fuel, so we just said, screw it, we'll push more and force everybody else to figure it out.
Oh, you guys ran an amazing race. Congratulations.
Yeah, much appreciated. I just want to give a big thanks to Dory Sports by SX. Yeah, great group of guys. Awesome support group, and a lot of really quick guys as well. So I can't thank Nick enough as well. We've been doing this now together for a couple years, so I'm grateful to have a teammate in the series compared to last season where I got bullied.
Yeah, we've been talking about it the whole night, and unfortunately, they had a bit of a. You probably saw it on the live timings. They had a bit of a.
Oh yeah, we had the broadcast up watching the whole way. We were hanging out.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. Obviously, you've thanked the team. Is there anybody else you'd like to thank?
I got a couple buddies in a Discord as well watching at the moment. So hello, guys. And yeah, it takes a village. So lots of people, big team effort. So thanks everybody.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week at Silverstone.
Cheers.
That was Mr. Gregory Hooverson, yeah.
Gregory knew about the bullying last year. I'm not even going to start because that's kind of wound me up and irritated me a little bit tonight. It's kind of left a sour taste in my mouth to what was a fantastic race end for Hooverson and Peterson there. But yeah, look. Racing's racing. The stewards will decide what they decide come next week at Silverstone. The B format takes back to take centre stage at the home of British Motorsport. It's going to be an interesting one. Tristan, are we looking forward to that one?
Absolutely looking forward to it. It's like we mentioned, it's not going to be a track that dominates in terms of engine style. Obviously, Daytona really did show favor to those front engines, but Silverstone a bit more balanced. Lots of fast and left right-handers, a lot of straight as well for the cars to perform. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think Joff is definitely going to come alive again next week in Silverstone. And obviously, we've got the different B format, which we've obviously got to look forward to. I definitely enjoyed it from season number 1, so I'm glad it kind of got incorporated as a bit of a mixed schedule. So definitely excited for next week.
Jay, what about yourself? Obviously, your first B format, you get to see your first reverse grid as well. So you're looking forward to that one?
I'm actually really looking forward to the next race. Silverstone is an infamous track, and it's also one of the tracks that I'm personally going to be driving when I go for my my racing license in Europe coming this fall. So I'd love to see what the action looks like on this track. I'd love to see what I'm going to personally be expecting. And I just want to see how everyone just kind of just gets about it.
Indeed, you'll have to let me know when you're over in the fall, and I'll see if I can get down to Silverstone. Either way, I kind of agree with Gregory there. It's not Britain's best circuit. That comes up at round number 6, Donington Park. But either way, we'll see what happens at the home of British Motorsport next time out. Thank you all for joining us live. Tristan Herbst and Shay join me in the commentary box with Jim Cunningham bringing you all the action and the replays. There he is, stood on that podium there, look on the camera, not moving his hands.
Jim right there.
He's doing that with his mind. He's moving that camera because his arms aren't moving. But yeah, thank you to everybody who's joined in the YouTube chat tonight, and we appreciate you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time, though, at Silverstone for week 3 of the League by Foxxtecca.